Chapter 9:19. The elders looked at each other in dismay. They didn't know how Zhou Luan wanted to deal with Zhang Dingming. Even Su Qinghe didn't continue the conversation. Zhou Luan continued, Grand Elder is already a Yuanian cultivator. The 4 top powers already have 4 or 5 Yuanian cultivators. Even the state of Qin and the state of Zhao, which had been restored after its destruction, had 2 nascent soul cultivators. As for the other 2nd and 3rd tier nations, many of them also have Yuanian cultivators. Blood Shadow only has 2 Yuanian cultivators. They're already weaker than Zhou, but are they weaker than Qin and Zhao? We haven't had a Grand Elder for thousands of years. How about we let the Grand Elder take on the role of Grand Elder? If Zhang Dingming could take on the role of Grand Elder, the Zhang clan would have a chance at survival. The elders of the Zhang clan faction naturally agreed. The elders of the Su clan and Zhang Yu all supported Zhou Luan unconditionally. Naturally, they also agreed. The neutral elders were the ones who truly cared about Blood Shadow. This suggestion was very beneficial to Blood Shadow, so they naturally had no objections. Thus, everyone called out in unison, Shadow Lord is wise. Zhang Dingming was a bit surprised. So many people actually agreed to let him take on the role of Grand Elder. Since the elders have no objections, Zhang Dingming will accept the title. Zhang Dingming stood up and cupped his hands towards Zhou Luan. Zhang Dingming is present. Although you made a grave mistake this time, in consideration of your great contributions and Blood Shadow's need for manpower, I will make you a Grand Elder. However, while you can avoid death, you can't escape punishment. From now on, you will focus on cultivation and will not manage any affairs. Zhang Dingming bowed. Thank you for your kindness, Shadow Lord. Zhou Luan continued, in 10 days, we will hold a ceremony to make you a Grand Elder in front of the Ancestral Hall. Grand Elder will be promoted to Grand Elder. The original Finance Elder, Zhang Dingyi, has died. Who do you think is suitable to take over? Elder Han replied, according to Blood Shadow's rules, when the first elder leaves or passes away, the second elder should take over. The third elder will continue to take over the position of the second elder, and another elder with real power will take over the position of the third elder. Zhou Luan nodded. In that case, second elder Zhang Yu will take over as Grand Elder, and third elder Su Qinghe will take over as second elder. As for the third elder, Elder Chao Jing would take over. Elder Chao had been an elder of the mind for many years, so he definitely had enough experience. He had been cautious and conscientious all these years and had never made any mistakes. He was just the right person to take over as the third elder. Zhang Mingguang used to be the head steward of the Treasury Hall. He had several generations of savings, but he was still so poor. It could be seen that he was extremely incorruptible. Presumably, none of the elders wished for another Zhang Dingyi to appear in the Finance Hall, so Zhang Mingguang should take over the position of Finance Elder. Su Qingxuan of the Punishment Hall had made great contributions to the investigation of Zhang Dingyi's case, and had been promoted to Elder of the Mine. Elder Han was an upright and plain-spoken person. He was the most suitable person to take over the position of head supervisor of the Punishment Hall. Elder Wu Jun also had a reputation for being upright, so he would be the head supervisor of the Finance Hall. What do the elders think of this appointment? Among the Blood Shadow elders, the ones with the highest status were the 3 Grand Elders and the head supervisor of the Blood Wolf. The head supervisor of the Blood Wolf had the same status as the second elder, but his position was special. His status was extremely high, but he did not have the power to make decisions on major matters. Below him were the elders of finance, punishment, mines, forest, pills, tools, and other industries that controlled large industries. Although the actual influence of these elders differed greatly, their statuses were the same. Below these elders were the head supervisors of the various halls. Below them were the hall masters and vice hall masters of the various first-level branches. Although they were elders with real power in name, they were far from the decision-making level. In reality, their influence was only at the level of an elder with no duties. If it was not for experience, ordinary elders with no duties would not be willing to become hall masters. Although Zhou Luan's appointment was not exactly the same as what Wang Daoyuan had said before, It could be said that she had taken care of all the factions. Needless to say, Zhang Mengguang was a key figure in dividing the Zhang family factions. Elder Han was a true neutral faction member. Elevating his position could be considered roping in the neutral faction. Wu Jun was Wu Xiang's younger brother. Wu Xiang was considered a neutral faction member who was closer to the Wang family. Naturally, he had to be roped in as well. Elder Chao had already surrendered before. Now, some of his descendants had already established families in Guiyan County. All the factions were very satisfied. Naturally, no one objected. Zhou Luan smiled and said, "In that case, let's arrange it this way. 10 days later, we will confer the titles of elders at the ancestral hall." Then, she walked out of the discussion hall. The other elders were also happy and worried. Most of them were beaming with joy. The Zhang family elders were all worried. No one was a fool. Naturally, they could see that the Zhang family could only drag out an ignoble existence in the future. As for those elders who were not direct descendants of the Zhang family, they were deep in thought. The tree that was the Zhang family was about to fall. Even Zhang Mengguang, the Zhang family elder, could be put in an important position. They were even less of a problem. Not long after Zhou Luan returned to the small courtyard of the Zhou family, Zhang Mengguang came to visit her. After he was promoted to Elder of Finance, he was not happy. Instead, he was full of worry. "Shadow Master, retired Emperor, after this incident with Zhang Dingyi, I really don't want to continue staying in the Blood Shadow headquarters. I hope that Shadow Master will be kind enough to let me work in the Shanbei branch. Even if it's a second-grade Deputy Hall Master, I'm still willing." Although the Zhang family has suffered a major setback, it's still a foundation of tens of thousands of years. If they take revenge, my wife and children will be finished. Zhou Luan smiled and said, "Don't worry. I'll naturally ensure the safety of your family. I remember that you have an early-stage Zifu realm son. With this cultivation, it won't be a problem for him to become a second-grade Deputy Hall Master. What do you think of the Linhai branch? Although it's just established, it has abundant spiritual energy and abundant products." Wang Daoyuan also said, "Let your family move to this small courtyard first. When Ming Ren and Ming Xian are 10 years old, I'll bring them back to the Yen Kingdom to acknowledge their ancestors. I'll also bring your family along." Hearing this, Zhang Mengguang was overjoyed. When he reported Zhang Dingyi, he was already prepared to die. Now that he had Wang Daoyuan and Zhou Luan's guarantee, not only could he be the Elder of Finance, but his family could also work in the Yen Kingdom. It was naturally a good thing to have the best of both worlds. Moreover, his family would be personally protected by Wang Daoyuan. Even if Zhang Dingming personally made a move, it would be difficult for him to hurt them. He repeatedly bowed and thanked them before leaving. Not long after Zhang Mengguang left, another person came to visit. It was a late-stage gold core and a middle-stage Zifu realm cultivator. The late-stage gold core cultivator was Wu Xiang's younger brother, Wu Jun. After the two came in, Wu Jun cupped his hands and said, "Greetings, Shadow Master and retired Emperor." Zhou Luan asked, "What's the matter, Elder Wu?" Wu Jun smiled and said, "It's not for anything important. It's for a private matter. This is my son, Wu Weizhong. His talent is not bad, but he didn't become a candidate elder. It's not a good idea to let him do nothing in the headquarters all day. I want him to go to the branch to gain experience. The Shanbei branch has added 2 more second-class branches. I want to ask for the position of Deputy Hall Master for Weizhong. I hope Shadow Master will approve." This meant that he wanted to board the Yen Kingdom ship. As Wu Xiang's younger brother, Wu Jun came to express goodwill, which represented the Wu family's intention. Apart from the Zhang and Su families, the Wu family was also considered an influential family. Moreover, Wu Xiang was the Blood Shadow's supervisor. Chao Jing had already expressed his stance, and now the Wu family had also come. In addition to the people recruited by Zhang Yu, more than half of the non-direct elders were already on Zhou Luan's side. There were only a few elders left with real power, so their influence was limited. Zhou Luan smiled and said, "The Shanbei branch is in need of people. With your son's talent, it won't be a problem for him to be a hall master." Wu Jun was just about to thank her when someone outside the door asked to see him. It was an acquaintance, Su Qinghe. In less than 2 hours, 3 elders with real power came one after another. One of them was the second elder. Chapter 920. Both Wu Jun and Su Qinghe came through the back door, so this meeting was a bit awkward. Zhou Luan tried to smooth things over. Young Master Wu's matter is settled. It just so happens that the second elder is also here. The position of a second-grade branch hall master can be decided by the second elder. Wu Weizhong bowed. Thank you for your guidance, Shadow Lord. Then he bowed to Su Qinghe. Greetings, second elder. Su Qinghe smiled. The Wu family has produced many talents in recent years. This junior is indeed not an ordinary person. Being a second-grade branch hall master is just a piece of cake. When I return, I'll take care of this matter. Wu Jun and his son exchanged a few more pleasantries before leaving the small courtyard. Su Qinghe cupped his hands and said, "This subordinate came to ask about how to deal with the Zhang family. The 3 elders are now loyal to the Shadow Lord, as are the 2 elders of punishment and finance. Now that Wu Jun is here, Wu Xiang presumably has the intention of drawing closer to the Shadow Lord. It's the most appropriate thing to do to the Zhang family." Wang Daoyuan smiled. The Yan kingdom needs a complete blood shadow. Su Qinghe fell into deep thought. After a long time he said, "This subordinate understands. The retired emperor wants the Zhang family to fall into disarray. But with Zhang Dingming, a Yuanian cultivator, it'll be a bit difficult to make the Zhang family fall apart. At most, we can rope in some non-direct elders who rely on the Zhang family. It'll be difficult to rope in the Zhang family's cultivators. Why don't I put some pressure on them and force the Zhang family to split?" Wang Daoyuan shook his head. The Zhang family's tree has been growing for tens of thousands of years. The tree has deep roots and luxuriant leaves. So far, we've only cut off the head of the trunk and the largest branch. It'll be difficult for the Zhang family to climb to a high position in the future. But the tree has many small branches and countless roots. These are the branches of blood shadow scattered all over Beiyuan. There are many Zhang family members in these branches, and they control the intelligence system. The greatest value of blood shadow is its intelligence system. Su Qinghe nodded. This subordinate understands. Let's leave the Zhang family alone for a few years. As for the Zhang clan's main branch and the cultivators who depended on the Zhang clan, they neither suppressed nor put them in important positions. The sun was setting in the west of the Zhang family. Those with weak wills would naturally leave and join the Shadow Lord. It won't be too late to deal with Zhang Dingming after everyone has left. After he finished speaking, a hesitant look appeared on his face, as if he wanted to say something but didn't dare to. Elder Su is indeed outstanding in terms of strategy, but it's a pity that your cultivation is too low. You are now at the peak of the Gold Core realm. With the inheritance of your Su family, breaking your Gold Core and forming your nascent soul is just a piece of cake. Su Qinghe was stunned. If he broke through Yuanying, it would seriously threaten Zhou Luan's position. Seeing his expression, Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, "In my eyes, there's no difference between the early stage of Yuanying and the peak stage of Jindan. If you break your Gold Core and form your nascent soul, it will certainly affect Zhou Luan's status, but the one who will be affected the most is still Zhang Dingming. The more Yuanying cultivators there are, the less valuable he is. If there are 4 or 5 Yuanying cultivators in the blood shadow, why would we care about a sinful person?" Su Qinghe cupped his hands and said, "The retired emperor is broad-minded. I admire you." Wang Daoyuan waved his hand. "There's no need for pleasantries. You didn't come here just to ask about the Zhang family. If there's anything else, just say it." Su Qinghe smiled awkwardly. "I can't hide my thoughts from the retired emperor. If the Shadow Lord wants to completely control the blood shadow, the Zhang family will die. It's also not suitable for the Su family to have too much power in the blood shadow. Therefore, I want to send the main force of the family to the Yan kingdom. In the future, the Su family's main branch will be in the Yan kingdom, and the blood shadow will be a branch. However, I was afraid that you would suspect me of having ulterior motives, so I didn't dare to do it directly. The The Su family has contributed to the suppression of the Zhang family this time, so I want to ask you to allow the Su family to send more people over. Wang Daoyuan said with a smile, the Yan kingdom has more than enough land, but it doesn't have enough ability to develop it. Even with the Chamber of Commerce, it's difficult to accumulate enough power in a short time. It's the time when people are needed. Even if you move the entire Su family over, I don't have any objections. It's just that you can't move too much at once, so as to avoid the elders of the Blood Shadow feeling that Zhou Luan is not tolerant. Su Qinghe was overjoyed. With the retired emperor's words, I'm relieved. If the retired emperor and the Shadow Lord don't have any other orders, I'll take my leave first. Wang Daoyuan and Zhou Luan didn't have anything for him to do, so they let him go. Zhou Luan glanced at Wang Daoyuan. You two treacherous villains are together, only thinking about how to trick people. This Su Qinghe is just like his father, full of evil tricks. A gentleman has his ways of being a gentleman, and a villain has his ways of being a villain. Which gentleman would do such a thing to trick the Zhang family this time? But you're right about one thing. Su Qinghe is indeed similar to Su Boyu. They're both smart but lacking in foresight. Fortunately, he's not bold and is more pragmatic than his father. He knows that following the Yan kingdom will lead to greater development in the future. Such people are useful. At this time, Zhang Dingming was staying on his spiritual mountain. Several peak-stage and late-stage golden core cultivators were gathered together. One of the peak-stage golden core cultivators who looked quite similar to him cupped his hands and said, Father, that traitor Zhang Mingguang, Wu Jun, and Su Qinghe all ran to the Shadow Lord's house just now. Now the three elders, the Punishment Elder and the Finance Elder, are the Shadow Lord's people. In the future, it'll be difficult for the Zhang family's disciples to rise to higher positions. The current elders may also be caught in the wrong and get rid of one by one. If this goes on, the Zhang family's decline is inevitable. You have to think of a way. Zhang Dingming sighed. I can only blame myself for indulging Zhang Dingyi too much, which led to today's bitter outcome. You don't have to worry too much. As long as I'm here, the Zhang family won't fall. Wang Daoyuan has wild ambitions. He wants to turn the Blood Shadow into a vassal of the Yan kingdom. He established the Wanchuan Chamber of Commerce to completely swallow the Blood Shadow. Unfortunately, the other elders are short-sighted. They only know how to focus on the benefits in front of them. They don't know Wang Daoyuan's sinister intentions. Even if the Shadow Lord killed me, no one would be able to find fault with Zhang Dingyi's actions. But he kept me alive. Mingchen, do you know why? Zhang Mingchen replied, Is it because he's afraid of our Zhang family's heirloom Dharma artifact? I've been fighting with Su Boyu for more than 500 years, and I've always had the upper hand. But I'm inferior to him in nurturing the next generation. You guys are far inferior to Su Qinghe. When Wang Daoyuan was in the mid-stage of Yuanying, he could already kill a half-divine beast Grand Demon King. He's now at the peak of Yuanying. No matter how strong the heirloom Dharma artifact is, I can't unleash the power of a Grand Demon King. I'm vulnerable in front of him. He wants to swallow the Blood Shadow's intelligence system completely. The focus of the intelligence system is the various branches. Most of these branches have people from the Zhang family. Once they push us too hard, the Zhang family can destroy nearly half of the branches. It's impossible for Wang Daoyuan to restore these branches without a few hundred years. He's ambitious and won't waste a few hundred years. So, the branches in our hands are protective talismans. Remember, the focus of the family will be on the various branches in the future. If the hall masters of the first-level branches are from the Zhang family, try to place Zhang family members in the important positions. The tighter the control of these branches, the more Wang Daoyuan won't dare to touch us. Wang Daoyuan doesn't like to be ruthless, so there's no need for the Zhang family to fight to the death. When he realizes that he can't destroy the Zhang family, there will be a chance for reconciliation. The more cards we have, the better the conditions we can obtain. Zhang Mingchen asked, Are you saying that the Zhang family will become a subject of the Yan kingdom in the future? Zhang Dingming sighed. I don't want to do this either, but the Zhang family has no hope of controlling the Blood Shadow. Since the Blood Shadow doesn't belong to us, there's no harm in selling it. Before that, we have to show the strength of the Zhang family. If any of you are unclean, hurry up and deal with it properly. Don't be caught red-handed again. If another Zhang Dingyi appears, we can only kneel and beg for mercy. Chapter 9:21. Zhang Dingming came up with a reliable countermeasure, and the rest of the Zhang family felt more at ease. They were also worried that Zhang Dingming would fight to the death with the Shadow Lord and the Yan Kingdom. After all, the Zhang family was so small. Now, it was hard for them to do anything alone, and even their own family members were starting to be disheartened. The Shadow Lord had already grasped the main power in her hands, and more than half of the people in Blood Shadow supported her. Coupled with the support of the Yan Kingdom, this power was not something the Zhang family could compare to. Now that Zhang Dingming had plans to surrender to the Yan Kingdom, he would show how strong his family's foundation was and how powerful they were. The Yan Kingdom would not dare to act rashly and could only take the Zhang family under their command through enlistment. Of course, the benefits could not be lacking. Zhang Mingchen cupped his hands and said, "Since father has already made a decision, then let's do it. I'll go back and inform the clansmen who are in charge of the first-level branch and let them arrange for their clansmen to be in important positions as much as possible. By the way, father, Zhang Mingguang is now the finance elder, and he has a high position. Those non-direct elders who used to rely on our Zhang family and the distant branches of the Zhang family all have some ideas. They may leave our Zhang family and rely on Zhang Mingguang. If we can keep these people, our Zhang family will have more trump cards. Should we pay a higher price to keep them here?" Zhang Dingming sighed. "Now, what can our Zhang family take out to keep them? We don't have the power to appoint personnel and finance in our hands, so why should they listen to us? Especially those elders who used to rely on our family, they were originally looking for a big tree to cool off. Now that the tree is going to fall, they will definitely find another one. These people can't be kept, and we don't have to worry about them. As for the distant branches of our Zhang family, we can try to keep them. They also have the surname Zhang. Even if they rely on the Shadow Lord, it will be difficult for them to be put in an important position, and they may even be suppressed by the Su family. Now, we can raise the treatment of the distant branches to the same level as the main branch disciples. After all, they are from the same branch, and there will be many people willing to stay." Hearing this, Zhang Mingchen was a little unhappy. "Father, the number of the distant branches is more than 10 times that of the main branch disciples. If we give them the same treatment, the family's expenses will be more than 10 times higher." Zhang Dingming could not hide the anger on his face, and he slapped Zhang Mingchen's face. "How did I give birth to such a stupid son?" At a time like this, he still had the mood to care about expenses. No matter what, the Zhang clan was still a cultivator clan with tens of thousands of years of history. How could they raise so many misers? The family had tens of thousands of years of wealth. If the expenses were increased tenfold, it wouldn't be a problem for them to last a few hundred years. Wang Daoyuan wouldn't wait a few hundred years before making a move. "Our Zhang family clearly doesn't lack that bit of resources, but you treat money as your life. After I became the great elder, I wanted you to gain more experience, so I rarely took care of the family's affairs. But I didn't expect you to take care of the family's affairs like this." The distant clansmen couldn't get any benefits from the clan, and their lives were even worse than those elders who weren't direct descendants. If you had given them a little bit of resources, Zhang Mingguang would not have reported Zhang Dingyi, and our Zhang family would not have fallen to such a state. Now is the Zhang family's last chance. We can only throw in everything we have and give it a try. You're actually worried about spending too much? You really can't carve rotten wood. Forget it, you guys aren't cut out for managing a family anyway. I can't take care of Blood Shadow right now, so I'll personally take care of the family's affairs to prevent you from causing any more trouble." The Zhang family's side was extremely vexed, while Wang Daoyuan was rather idle. For the time being, he did not need to find trouble with the Zhang family anymore. He also comprehended the array formation inheritance of the Valley of Beasts in the Zhou family's small courtyard. Previously, his artifact refinement level had already risen to Tier 5 high grade, and he could reforge the Black Jade Cauldron. Now, it was also time to raise his array formation level. After all, Refining Tier 5 high-grade puppets and flying boats required both artifact refinement and pill refinement level to reach Tier 5 high-grade. When he had nothing to do, he would take out a formation disc and carve Tier 5 high-grade array patterns on it. The formation disc's requirements for materials were not high. Using Tier 4 materials to refine the formation disc was not a problem. The Zhang family admitted defeat. Zhou Luan could be said to be a man of his word in Blood Shadow. Not needing to wrangle with people, the time to deal with official affairs was also very little. Most of the time every day, he could stay in the small courtyard and take care of the two little fellows. With him playing with the two little fellows, Wang Daoyuan also had more ample time. 3 years later, he successfully refined a set of Tier 5 high-grade defensive array formation disc and officially became a Tier 5 high-grade array master. He did not dare to refine a Tier 5 high-grade flying warship. After all, that thing consumed too many artifact refinement materials. A flying warship would consume thousands of years or even tens of thousands of kilograms of artifact refinement materials. Tier 5 high-grade artifact refinement materials were originally insufficient. It was better to refine Tier 5 high-grade puppets. In a short period of time, the combat power of the puppet was not inferior to a flying warship of the same rank. It was just that it could not last long. But the materials used to refine a flying warship were enough to refine dozens of puppets of the same rank. He also returned to the house in the small courtyard and began to refine a Tier 5 high-grade puppet. This puppet was still a sword puppet. After all, sword puppets were the strongest. Previously, he also refined a Tier 5 high-grade origin returning sword. It was just right for this sword puppet to use. Sword puppets were the puppets that he refined the most. It could be considered a walk in the park. Even if it was a Tier 5 high-grade sword puppet, it would not take long. In order to save on artifact refinement materials, he was very careful when refining. However, it only took him half a month to complete the puppet. Because he was careful enough, there were no major flaws left. Next was to nurture the puppet soul. This was not difficult. The puppet soul that he had previously asked for was not used up. He could still use it now. After dealing with the demonic beast soul, he stored it in his sea of consciousness and drank some 7-leaf ghost face flower due to nourish the soul. When the soul was strong enough, Yuanying brought the puppet's soul into the space of the spirit pearl and personally transmitted the origin returning sword intent into it. The flow of time in the space of the spirit pearl was already 90 times faster than the outside world. The area was also more than 200 mu. The concentration of spirit energy was affected by Wang Daoyuan's cultivation. It could not be improved anymore. It stopped at the peak of Tier 5. However, 2 of the spirit plants in the space of the spirit pearl had broken through to Tier 5. They were the earliest jade needle white jade pine and a 7-leaf ghost face flower. These 2 spirit plants originally had the potential to grow to Tier 5. But because of the lack of spirit energy in Xiaoxian, it was not enough to support the growth of Tier 5 spirit plants. Under such circumstances, Tier 5 spirit plants would either die directly or barely survive. It was impossible for them to break through to Tier 5. After staying in the space of the spirit pearl for many years, there was enough spirit energy to nourish it. The 7-leaf ghost face flower had also multiplied for several generations. It was reasonable for it to recover its grade. The phoenix feather fur spiritual wood that he had obtained when he had just formed his core had now reached Tier 4 upper grade. It could be used to refine a Tier 5 lower grade flying warship. Half a year later, the origin returning sword intent that the puppet's soul had comprehended finally passed. More than 40 years had passed in the space of the spirit pearl. Wang Daoyuan's Yuanying left the space of the spirit pearl and put the puppet's soul into the puppet. The strength of this puppet was already the top in Xiaoxian. In addition to the origin returning sword intent, Wang Daoyuan also gave it 6 spirit gathering pearls, which could allow it to fight for more than 2 hours. And there were more ways to search for enemies. In addition to the magic compass, he also let it learn a secret detection technique, in case it encountered opponents with special means to avoid the puppet's detection. The 2 probing methods were more reliable. Wang Daoyuan walked out of the house. Zhou Luan was meditating in the courtyard. Seeing him come out, Zhou Luan said, "There's a big movement on the Zhang family's side again." Most of the elders who were not direct descendants of the Zhang family previously joined Zhangyu. Even some of the Zhang family's cultivators expressed goodwill to us. The Zhang family still dares to play tricks. They are really bold. Chapter 9:22. It had been more than 3 years since the last time they caused trouble for the Zhang clan, and the storm back then had more or less subsided. The Zhang clan's reputation in Blood Shadow was completely ruined. All the middle and low-level disciples scolded the Zhang clan. Of course, Zhou Luan punished Zhang Dingyi and promoted Zhang Dingming to the position of Grand Elder with no real power. She even repaid the salary that Zhang Dingyi had embezzled, and their prestige was unparalleled. The Zhang clan had been well-behaved these 3 years, and those who still held positions in the headquarters did their best to not attract attention. They were cautious and conscientious in their work, afraid of making mistakes. Wang Daoyuan didn't expect them to come out and cause trouble again. They didn't dare to fight for power directly. Instead, they took the initiative to send the Zhang clan disciples to the various branches. Originally, it was just the internal management of the various branches that the headquarters couldn't do anything about. Now, there are always second-level branch hall masters and vice hall masters being changed, and the Zhang clan disciples from the headquarters go over to fill in the holes. You said before that the Zhang clan's most important thing isn't its inheritance or resources from the headquarters, but its influence in the various branches. By doing this, the Zhang clan is increasing the influence of the branches. When the time comes, it will be even harder for us to destroy the Zhang clan. Wang Daoyuan pondered for a long time before asking, "How many first-level branches are doing this?" Blood Shadow has more than 20 first-level branches, and there were 13 first-level branch hall masters who originally belonged to the Zhang clan. But after we dealt with the Zhang clan once, most of the first-level branch hall masters' attitude towards the Zhang clan was neither friendly nor distant. A few of the branch hall masters with external surnames attached to the Zhang clan didn't act rashly. Even the distant branches of the Zhang clan were watching the show. There were only 6 second-level branch hall masters and vice hall masters who changed all of their branch hall masters to Zhang clan disciples. These 6 first-level branches have more than 40 second-level branches under them. The Zhang clan had fallen to such a state, but more than a fifth of the branches still responded. The other branches also had a wait-and-see attitude. If the Shadow Master couldn't come up with a good plan to deal with the Zhang clan, their attitude would change. Their attitude would also change and they would continue to support the Zhang family. After all, the Zhang clan and the Su clan had been fighting for tens of thousands of years. During this time, the Zhang clan had declined greatly, but they hadn't been completely destroyed. In the eyes of others, the Zhang clan had a high chance of making a comeback. If you want to promote a branch hall master to the headquarters, do they have the right to refuse? Zhou Luan shook her head. Of course not. The Shadow Lord has given the order by force. Even the 3 Grand Elders together are unable to stop him. What can a mere hall master do? However, the vice hall masters of these first-level branches were considered elders with real power in name. If he wanted to promote them to the headquarters, he would have to give them the position of an elder with real power. If they were given an elder without any duties, it would be a demotion. There had to be a suitable reason. Otherwise, it would be me, the Shadow Master, taking revenge on the Zhang family. Wang Daoyuan said with a smile, "That's not difficult. These 6 Zhang clan members are divided into main and side branches. He would take down the main vein first and leave the side veins for now. Moreover, were the hall masters but so clean? He could just casually pick a hall master of the Zhang clan's main bloodline and teach him a lesson. There was no need for him to pack up too much. He could just take him to the headquarters and make him an elder with no duties. This would also prevent the Zhang family from being too scared and acting out of desperation. We still have to invite Su Qinghe for this kind of thing. He's better at this kind of work." Zhou Luan glanced at him. "You 2 sinister and cunning villains are going to conspire to trick people again." After saying that, she sent a message to Su Qinghe. Su Qinghe's movements were rather nimble. He soon arrived at the Zhou family's small courtyard. As soon as he entered, he cupped his hands towards Zhou Luan and Wang Daoyuan. Shadow Lord, retired Emperor, I wonder why you called this subordinate here? Wang Daoyuan said with a smile, the Zhang family is stirring up trouble again. The higher-ups here at the headquarters are mostly our people. The Zhang family has no place to stand. However, Zhang Dingming, this old fellow, seems to have seen through my purpose and wants to give up fighting for power here at the headquarters. He hides the strength of the clan in the various branches. In this way, it will be very difficult for Zhou Luan to completely control the Blood Shadow intelligence system. Su Qinghe sighed. Zhang Dingming is still shrewd enough. When my late father was alive, he fought with him for hundreds of years but never gained the upper hand. If it weren't for Shadow Lord and retired Emperor, it would be difficult for me to beat him. However, there are very few capable people among the younger generation of the Zhang family. They have done many stupid things. Retired Emperor, how do you plan to deal with the Zhang family? Among the first-level branches controlled by the Zhang family, there are still a large number of Zhang family disciples placed in 6 places. What I mean is to find someone with more misdeeds and punish them, then transfer them back to the headquarters to be an elder with no duties. It will be a show of strength, so that those distant branches of the Zhang family won't dare to act rashly. Then we can slowly deal with the main branch of the Zhang family. The Su family was worthy of being the old enemy of the Zhang family. When he heard that there were still 6 first-level branches cooperating with the Zhang family, he immediately said, these 6 branches should be located in the capitals of Wu, Qi, Xin, Sui, Huang, and Zhongli, right? Zhou Luan nodded. It is precisely these 6 first-level branches. Then that's right. These 6 first-level branches have always been under the control of the Zhang family. Among them, Wu, Qi, and Xin are all controlled by the main branch of the Zhang family. The other 3 are distant branches. However, this distant branch is not too far away, only 7 or 8 generations away. Zhang Dingming takes care of these 3 distant branches, and they are also loyal to the Zhang family. Wang Daoyuan asked, you have to pick the soft persimmons. First, deal with those who are not very capable and have a bad record. Which of these 3 descendants of the main branch of the Zhang family is the easiest to deal with and will get the most benefits? It must be the Xianxia branch in the capital of Wu Kingdom. Wu Kingdom's territory is not small, and it is in charge of 10 second-level branches. Although Wu Kingdom's national strength is not as good as Zhou Qin, it is also very rich. Qi Kingdom is also good, but Zhang Mingjue, the hall master of the Linji branch in the capital, is one of the few capable people among the younger generation of the Zhang family. Zhang Dingming's eldest son, Zhang Mingchen, is a miser and not the material for great things. Zhang Mingjue is Zhang Dingming's nephew. This guy does things flawlessly. For so many years, our Su family has only found some trivial mistakes, but we can't bring him down at all. Therefore, Zhang Dingming has always intended to let Zhang Mingjue take charge of the Zhang family and began to focus on training him. The hall master of the Xianxia branch is Zhang Dingming's other son, Zhang Menge. He is a standard playboy. His talent is not very good. He is more than 500 years old, but he is still an early-stage gold core cultivator. The deputy hall master is in charge of handling official affairs. This guy only eats, drinks, and plays all day long. He has not committed any serious crimes, but he has docked his salary a lot. Since the retired emperor's purpose is not to kill people but to demote him to an elder with no duties, he is the most suitable person to deal with Zhang Menge. Wang Daoyuan pondered for a while. In that case, I want to crush both the soft and the hard persimmon. If I can bring these 2 brothers back together, Zhang Menge will let him be an elder with no duties. As for Zhang Mingjue, if he stays in Qi Kingdom, he will be a disaster sooner or later. Since he did not do anything wrong, his political achievements should be good, so I will promote him well. At the headquarters, the Su family can find a reason to take down an unimportant chief steward and send him to Yan Kingdom. It should not be a problem for him to be a guardian. Then let Zhang Mingjue take over the position of chief steward and let him enjoy a good life in the yamen. Su Qinghe had long wanted to send a gold core cultivator over, but the intention of fighting for power was too obvious. Now that Wang Daoyuan took the initiative to suggest it, he was overjoyed. Brilliant. Really brilliant. If we take down 2 hall masters of the Zhang family's main branch at the same time, the 3 hall masters of the distant branches will most likely not dare to act rashly. One of the 2 from the Zhang family will be promoted and the other demoted, making the shadow master appear impartial and selfless. That's right, what about the 2 missing hall masters? Taking down these 2 brothers is to eliminate the Zhang family's influence. The Zhang family has been in business for many years, so we must send someone loyal and capable. It doesn't matter if the Su family does not have an elder with no duties or a little less experience. As long as we are strong enough to suppress the Zhang family's power, it will be fine. Chapter 923. The Zhang family had set up branches in these countries for many years. Most of the managers and intelligence personnel in the branches were from the Zhang family. Even the deputy hall masters and the deputy hall masters of the second-level branches were from the Zhang family. If they directly put an outsider in the position of a first-level hall master, they would definitely be taken over by their subordinates if they were not strong enough. Su Qinghe answered straightforwardly, "That's not a problem. The outsiders who were replaced by the Zhang family should still be in these branches. My Su family will send people over to gather these outsiders. They will also be a strong force. With the pressure from the headquarters, it won't be difficult to wipe out the Zhang family's forces." Wang Daoyuan nodded. "Since you can do it, go and prepare as soon as possible. Now that the Zhang family has been defeated, they have no ability to stop us. There's no need to create momentum or anything. Let's just use force." Su Qinghe cupped his hands and said, "I'll go and make the arrangements now. I'll bring it up in the meeting hall tomorrow." With that, he left the small courtyard. Zhou Luan asked, "Why do you always think of these tricks to trick people? Children of the poor take charge of the family early. When I was young, the Wang family was still a foundation establishment family. There were strong enemies all around. If we didn't think of more tricks, how could we have survived until now?" Wang Mingren and Wang Mingxian were both cultivating in the room. Wang Daoyuan and Su Qinghe's discussion had always been more sinister. Zhou Luan didn't let the 2 children listen. As cultivators with heavenly spirit roots, their cultivation speed was naturally not slow. Wang Daoyuan didn't want them to cultivate too quickly. After all, they were still too young and their bodies were still growing. Most of their time was spent on their own interests. Even so, their cultivation had reached the 3rd level of qi refinement. Wang Mingxian's cultivation speed was slightly faster and wasn't far from the 4th level. The 2 of them were only 9 years old now. It was already very good that they could cultivate to the 3rd level of qi refinement. In any case, if they didn't build their foundation before they reached adulthood, there was no benefit in cultivating too quickly. Their cultivation techniques were naturally not simple. Wang Mingren cultivated the slaughtering sword art of the White Tiger Hall in the Valley of Beasts. This was the core inheritance of the White Tiger Hall and was also left behind by an almighty. Of course, Wang Mingxian's cultivation method wasn't bad either. It was called the E-Wood Longevity Technique, and its main purpose was to cultivate vitality. It could be used to heal injuries and strengthen the body. Of course, this cultivation method was not only used for healing. It also had several offensive spells that could deprive the enemy of their life force for their own use. The killing effect was also quite good. The creator of this technique was Supreme God Green Wood, the founder of the Valley of Beasts who liked to create secret realms. His strength was one of the best among the almighties. It just so happened that Wang Mingxian's special physique had an extremely strong vitality. This was the most suitable cultivation method for him. The 2 little fellows usually sparred with each other, and Wang Mingren's strength had always held the upper hand. After all, Wang Mingxian's physique was very close to that of a spirit body, which gave her an advantage in cultivation speed. However, it did not have a direct effect on her fighting ability. The offensive spells of the E-Wood Longevity Technique were also not very useful when one's cultivation level was low. Wang Mingren's physique clearly belonged to the category of battle constitutions, and it was related to sword cultivation. Now that he was cultivating the killing sword formula, this cultivation method was to cultivate the killing sword intent. Although it was still too early for him to talk about sword intent, the spiritual power cultivated from this cultivation method was extraordinary. Complemented with his innate sharp aura, his fighting ability was naturally very strong. The next day, Zhou Luan came to the Great Council Hall. As soon as she sat down on the main seat, an elder with no duties said, "Shadow Lord, I've received news that the Hall Master of the Xianxia branch of the Wu State, Zhang Mengge, has neglected his duties. As a Hall Master, he has never cared about the various affairs of the branch. He only knows how to indulge in sensual pleasures and even misappropriated the resources of the Xianxia branch to indulge himself in debauchery. If we continue to indulge him, I'm afraid he'll become another Zhang Dingyi. This Zhang Mengge is Zhang Dingyi's nephew, so it's not impossible for him to do the same thing. In my opinion, we should remove him from his position as Hall Master and summon him back to the headquarters to reflect on his mistakes." This elder was a member of the Su family, and his relationship with Su Qinghe wasn't far off. Zhou Luan asked, "Is there any evidence for this?" The elder took out a beast skin book. This is the account book and testimony provided by the previous Vice Hall Master of the Xianxia branch. He's already arrived at the headquarters and can testify at any time. Immediately, a late-stage Golden Core elder stood up and said, "We can't just rely on one side of the story. If we convict Zhang Mengge like this, I'm afraid the other elders won't be convinced." At this moment, another elder with no duties stood up and said, "What the Pill elder said is extremely true. We can't say that he's wrong just because he's Zhang Dingyi's nephew." The Hall Master of the Linji branch of the state of Qi, Zhang Mengjue, is also Zhang Dingyi's nephew, but his political achievements are one of the best among the first-level branch Hall Masters. This person's words were very objective. An elder with the surname Su had taken the initiative to defend the Zhang family's Hall Master. This made the other elders a little confused. When did these two families reconcile? The third elder, Chao Jing, saw some clues. Although he didn't know the complete inside story, he could tell that the Su family wanted to recruit these two Hall Masters to the headquarters. The Su family's intention represented Zhou Luan and the retired emperor's intention. He also said, "Shadow Master, since Zhang Mengge is suspicious, we should summon him back to the headquarters and hand him over to the punishment hall for trial. If he's wrong, he'll be punished. If he's not, it won't be too late to entrust him with more important tasks." As for Zhang Mengjue, he's been the Hall Master of the Linji branch for decades. Since his political achievements are outstanding, he should be promoted. Su Qinghe was stunned. "That was my word." He reacted quickly and said, "The third elder's words are reasonable. We should indeed summon Zhang Mengjue and Zhang Mengge back to the headquarters. Meritorious deeds will be rewarded, and mistakes will be punished." Zhang Yu also nodded. "That's right." Zhou Luan said, "Since the three elders all think so, we should summon them back to the headquarters. Those who have made contributions will be promoted, and those who have made mistakes will be demoted." Since the Shadow Master and the three elders had agreed, the others would be courting death if they objected. Zhang Yu cupped his hands and said, "Understood. I'll order the two Hall Masters to come to the headquarters." This action made the non-direct elders a little confused. However, the elders of the Zhang family knew that things weren't good. The Shadow Master was making a move on the branch controlled by the Zhang family. After discussing the matter, everyone dispersed. The Elixir elder hurriedly ran to the Zhang family's spiritual mountain. When he saw Zhang Dingming, he cupped his hands and said, "Uncle, the Su family suddenly attacked Mengge in the meeting hall today. Moreover, the three elders seem to have colluded to drag Mengjue into the water. They said that they would summon them back to the headquarters. If they're guilty, they'll be demoted. If they're innocent, they'll be put in an important position. Once they're summoned back to the headquarters, the Shadow Master will send someone else to take over as Hall Master. Our previous efforts will all be in vain." Zhang Dingming sighed. "Time is not on my side. I don't have any power now. We can't oppose the Shadow Master and the three elders' decisions. I didn't expect that the Shadow Master would react just as I made a move. The more you do, the more mistakes you make. The less you do, the less mistakes you make. At this time, we mustn't be caught red-handed. We can only wait and see." Fortunately, we've already dealt with the beginning and the end. Even if we can catch a small mistake, it won't be a big deal. Mengui's side will at most be demoted. With his bit of intelligence, it's better for him to be an idle elder. Mengjue has always been careful. At most, he can find some trivial matters. If he's summoned to the headquarters, they can only reward him. The two of them won't be in danger. It's just that the Wu and Qi branches are no longer our Zhang families. The Shadow Master and Wang Daoyuan already have a very effective countermeasure for the other Hall Masters to temporarily stop placing their family disciples. No matter how many family disciples are placed here, they can uproot them. There's no need to waste time. If we continue to resist, we'll only be asking for trouble. Chapter 9:24. The Shadow Master and the three elders issued orders to summon Zhang Mengue and Zhang Mengjue back to the headquarters. The two of them didn't dare to disobey. It wasn't a big deal. At most, they would be demoted if they came to the headquarters. If they disobeyed the orders of the Shadow Master and the three elders, it was equivalent to betraying Blood Shadow. What they had to face next was endless pursuit. And it wasn't just Blood Shadow that was after them. There was also the Yen Kingdom. After receiving the orders, the two of them immediately set off. They returned to Blood Shadow's headquarters in 6 or 7 days. Everything that needed to be said had already been explained in a letter on the way. Now, they didn't need to meet Zhang Dingming to discuss anything. The two of them went straight to the meeting hall. Zhenzi Branch Hall Master Zhang Mengue and Linji Branch Hall Master Zhang Mengjue greet the Shadow Master. These two fellows were indeed nurtured by aristocratic families with tens of thousands of years of history. Although Zhang Mengue was an idiot, their actions were still very magnanimous. Punishment Elder Su Qingchuan asked, Zhang Mengue, the former deputy hall master of Zhenzi Branch, accused you of removing him from his position for no reason and indulging in sensual pleasures. Furthermore, you misappropriated more than 1 million mid-grade spirit stones from the branch's treasury for your indulgence. Is this true? Zhang Mengue hurriedly said, Yes, there is such a thing. I was muddle-headed and did something stupid. I am willing to double the compensation for the misappropriated resources. Please be lenient with me, Shadow Master and the elders. Such a straightforward admission of guilt left everyone at a loss for what to do. Zhou Luan also immediately understood that this fellow had received guidance from Zhang Dingming. Anyway, his crimes wouldn't reach the point of being beheaded. He might as well admit it and compensate for the misappropriated resources. This way, Blood Shadow's interests wouldn't be damaged too much, and he could be dealt with lightly. With his attitude of accepting punishment, Su Qingchuan didn't want to torture him anymore. Since you took the initiative to admit your mistakes, we will be lenient with you. Zhenzi Branch Hall Master Zhang Mengue neglected his duties and misappropriated resources from the treasury. He will be stripped of his position as Hall Master and will remain an elder with no duties. Go home and reflect on your mistakes. Don't cause any more trouble. Zhang Mengue also bowed calmly. Thank you, Shadow Master and the elders. I will take my leave. With that, he turned and walked out of the meeting hall and returned to Su's Spirit Mountain. Zhang Mengjue didn't do anything wrong. He came here mainly to be rewarded. The punishment hall only had the power to punish, but not to reward. Third Elder Chao Jing said, Linji Branch Hall Master Zhang Mengjue has been the Hall Master for more than 70 years. In the past 70 years, the amount of information sent to headquarters by the Linji Branch had more than doubled. Apart from that, they had also sent a large number of precious spiritual items. After investigation, it was found that Zhang Mengjue had been cautious and conscientious during his time as the Hall Master and had not made any mistakes. A capable and experienced person who had done meritorious deeds without making any mistakes would naturally be put in an important position. As for the position, I'll leave it to you to decide. Zhou Luan nodded. Zhang Mengjue has indeed done a good job. He should be promoted. Great Elder, is there any vacancy for an elder position in the headquarters? Zhang Yu replied, originally, there was no vacancy. However, a few days ago, the Spirit Talisman Palace's chief supervisor made a small mistake and has been removed from his position. If it was a small force, Being the general manager of the Spirit Talisman Palace was a lucrative job. However, for a faction like Blood Shadow, the value of the Spirit Talisman Palace wasn't great. Because they didn't have a strong talisman inheritance, the Spirit Talisman Palace could only refine talismans of low value. As such, the status of the Spirit Talisman Elder and Chief Supervisor naturally wasn't high. This position isn't bad. Zhang Mingjue will be the Chief Supervisor of the Spirit Talisman Palace. Zhang Mingjue also bowed. Thank you, Shadow Master. Thank you, Elders. Zhou Luan asked, these two branches are extremely important. Who do you think should take over? Great Elder replied, for the Jinza branch, the previous Vice Hall Master was removed by Zhang Mingjue for no reason. Now, he should be reinstated and another Hall Master should be sent over. As for the Linji branch, headquarters will send another person over. Chao Jing cupped his hands and said, I would like to recommend two people. They are Su Qingchuan and Su Yijin. The two of them are already more than 400 years old and have enough experience. With temporary matters arranged for them, they can be considered capable and experienced. After some experience, they will definitely become great talents. They can take on the role of Hall Master. Zhou Luan nodded. In that case, we will do as Third Elder says. Su Qingchuan will be the Linji branch Hall Master, and Su Yijin will be the Jinza branch Hall Master. After arranging these matters, the elders dispersed. Zhang Mingjue returned to the Zhang family's Spirit Mountain. When he saw Zhang Dingming, he cupped his hands and said, Uncle, Mingjue and I have been transferred back to headquarters. The two branches are now in the hands of the Su family. It won't be long before the clansmen of these two branches are suppressed. If this continues, our previous arrangements will be finished. What should we do about this? You have to come up with a plan. Zhang Dingming sighed. What else can we do? I didn't expect that the fall of Zhang Dingyi would bring so much trouble to our Zhang family. Shadow Master's prestige is extremely high now. As long as the policies she proposes are not too outrageous, all the elders will support them. If we want to place people in the various branches, he can be transferred back to headquarters at any time. If this continues, it will become a competition of resources between our Zhang family and the entire Blood Shadow and the Yen Kingdom. I'm afraid that in less than 10 years, our Zhang family's wealth will be exhausted. Once the Zhang family falls, even if Shadow Master doesn't deal with us, the Su family won't let us go. There's no point in continuing to be tough. Instead of waiting for Shadow Master and the Su family's butcher knife to fall on our necks, it's better to give in now. At this point, I don't expect to have any more power. It's enough to protect the family. Zhang Mingchen was also here. When he heard this, he was puzzled. Father, our Zhang family's tens of thousands of years of foundation. How can we give up just like that? Zhang Dingming glared at his son, shook his head and sighed. You're really hopelessly stupid. Mingjue, what do you think? Zhang Mingjue answered, Uncle, the Yen Kingdom's intention is to control Blood Shadow and make it a subordinate organization of the Yen Kingdom. The reason why they're targeting us is that we want to control Blood Shadow. As long as we give up Blood Shadow, there won't be any conflict of interest with the Yen Kingdom. If we continue to resist, the Zhang family will not be able to protect itself, and we won't be able to stop Shadow Master and the Yen Kingdom's power. Now, our Zhang family has only lost our power. The most important thing is that our clansmen and heritage are still there. If we can take the initiative to give in and request to move to the northern counties of the Yen Kingdom, the Yen Kingdom's Grand Emperor will definitely give us a place to settle down. Moreover, our Zhang family is only giving up our power in Blood Shadow. The property will still be ours. In the future, Blood Shadow will become a subordinate force of the Yen Kingdom. There's no difference whether we work in Blood Shadow or work in the Yen Kingdom. Zhang Dingming's face revealed a gratified smile. With Mingjue, our Zhang family still has hope. Mingchen, although you're not very intelligent, you're still above average. However, your scope is too small. You can't even be considered below average. You're even worse than Mingjue. Therefore, you're only below average. I've been fighting with Su Boyu for hundreds of years, and I've always had the upper hand. In terms of intelligence, I'm still slightly inferior to him. I can beat him because my scope is bigger than his. Sometimes, the scope is more important than intelligence. Wang Daoyuan's management ability can only be considered above average. He's much worse than Su Boyu and me. However, his scope is big enough. The ability he's shown is also far above mine. Otherwise, the Wang family wouldn't have risen so quickly. Without a scope, even if you're extremely intelligent, you can only fish in a muddy pond. So what if you fish out all the fish in the muddy pond? You can only eat a few full meals. If your scope is big enough, you can fish in the rivers, lakes, and seas. With some ability, you can live without worrying about food and clothing. It's much better than staying in the muddy pond. I'm going to find Shadow Master and the Grand Emperor to request to move some of our clansmen to the Yen Kingdom. In the future, you should learn from Mingjue. Don't just focus on those few spirit stones. Zhang Mingchen was somewhat dissatisfied. That's billions of mid-grade spirit stones and a lot of property. Chapter 925. In his anger, Zhang Dingming slapped Zhang Mingchen again. You really can't be carved out of rotten wood. The Wang family was just a foundation establishment family back then, but they produced a very ambitious Wang Daoyuan. Our Zhang family is a large family with tens of thousands of years of history. How did we produce a frog in a well like you? Other than wealth, you don't care about anything else. Hand over the affairs in your hands to Mengju and reflect on your mistakes in the future. When you've thought it through, come out and manage the family affairs. Wang Daoyuan's mindset was mainly influenced by his previous life. After all, in a world with advanced information, one could see all kinds of things. No matter how good one was at thinking and summarizing things, one's mindset would gradually become bigger. Zhang Mingchen still wanted to argue, but Zhang Dingming glared at him, and he immediately shut his mouth. Then he left the Zhang family's spiritual mountain and went to Blood Shadow City. When he arrived at the Zhou family's courtyard, he cupped his hands at the door and said, "Shadow Master, retired Emperor, Zhang Dingming of the Zhang family wishes to see you." Zhang Dingming had always been at odds with Zhou Luan and had never interacted with her. Now that he suddenly came to visit and was quite polite, the two of them were a little surprised. One would not hit a smiling person. Since he came to visit, they could not be too rude. Wang Daoyuan opened the door and welcomed Zhang Dingming in. "Grand Elder, may I know why you're here?" Zhang Dingming cupped his hands and said, "I overestimated myself and made an enemy of Shadow Master and retired Emperor. Now that the Zhang family is at the end of its rope, we're willing to serve Shadow Master and retired Emperor. As long as you're willing to accept the Zhang family, I'm willing to commit suicide." Wang Daoyuan thought to himself, this old man is really cunning. He said he's going to commit suicide. If he really dies, Blood Shadow will be in trouble. Although the Zhang family no longer has a chance to turn the tables, they still have a lot of power in the various branches. They're still far from being at the end of their rope. If he dies, the branches under the Zhang family's control will cut off contact with the headquarters out of fear. If they continue to hide, half of Blood Shadow's intelligence system will be destroyed. His timing is very accurate. If he dares to say this in a few years, I'll really kill him. But now, he was still hesitant to act, so he could only appease her. Grand Elder must be joking. Whether it is Zhou Luan or my Wang clan, we have no enmity with the Zhang clan. The previous conflict was just a power struggle between both sides. Since the Zhang family wants to reconcile, there's no need for us to exterminate them. Zhang Dingming cupped his hands and said, "In that case, many thanks for retired Emperor's grace of not killing me." Although the Zhang family had tens of thousands of years of foundation, Blood Shadow was an underground force after all. The headquarters was deep underground, so there wasn't enough space. Outside was the southern wasteland. Ordinary clansmen couldn't survive there. The Zhang family didn't have many members, so their development was greatly restricted. I want to move most of the Zhang family to the Yen Kingdom. What do you think, retired Emperor? Since he had already referred to himself as a subject, his intentions were clear. The Zhang family had to give up their power and status in Blood Shadow and focus their operations on Yen Kingdom in the future. Wang Daoyuan naturally welcomed this. If he could move most of the Zhang and Su families' forces elsewhere, the Wang family would be able to completely control Blood Shadow. It just so happened that Shanbei needed people to develop it. Moving the Zhang family there would play a big role. Of course, Zhang Dingming, a Yuanian cultivator, couldn't be placed in Blood Shadow's headquarters. It was better to move him to Shanbei. His position was also very easy to arrange. Zhong Zhenyang was the governor of Hell King County. Yan Kingdom occupied a quarter of Shanbei and only established 3 counties, Guiyan, Hell King, and Luoxing. These 3 counties added together were less than 1/10 of the entire Shanbei territory of Yan Kingdom. They just needed to find a place to establish a county and let Zhang Dingming be the governor. Yan Kingdom occupied a quarter of Shanbei. Now most of the land is empty. There are often rogue cultivators and forces from Shanbei running to Shanbei to occupy the spirit veins and industries. I have the intention to establish a few more counties, but the counties in Shanbei are all ruled by Yuanian cultivators. Yan Kingdom's talents haven't matured yet, so there's no suitable candidate for governor. Grand Elder's cultivation level is enough. If you want, you can be the governor of Shanbei. Zhang family's disciples can also join in the migration to Shanbei. There are many level 4 spirit veins there. Guiyan Mountain Spirit Vein is not far from level 5. Its potential is much stronger than the southern wasteland where Blood Shadow's headquarters is located. Being able to become the governor of a county right after joining the Yan Kingdom was an excellent condition. As for the other 2 governors, Zhong Zhenyang had joined the Wang family for many years. The other one was a half-demon. It was a prestigious position to let them govern themselves and slowly assimilate. Zhang Dingming was naturally very happy. He originally wanted to get a few level 4 spirit veins and settle down for his family. He didn't expect to become a governor directly. Greetings, Your Majesty. Thank you for your generosity. May I ask, retired Emperor, how should we deal with the branches under the control of the Zhang family? Since Zhang family has decided to join the Yan Kingdom, keep them for now. We can slowly move them to Yan Kingdom later. By the way, the Hall Master of Sanha branch in Zhao country is from your Zhang family, right? Zhang Dingming cupped his hands and said, all the branches in Zhao country have always been under my Zhang family's jurisdiction. The Hall Master of Sanha branch, Li Sheng, was promoted by me. Because it's too close to Yan Kingdom, I didn't place any Zhang family disciples there. However, he will still listen to me. Now that Zhang family is a subject of Yan Kingdom, it's just a matter of a word for him to cooperate with Wan Chuan Chamber of Commerce. Wan Chuan Chamber of Commerce's influence will soon cover the entire Zhao country. This old man was indeed shrewd. He saw through Wan Chuan Chamber of Commerce's intention. Wan Chuan Chamber of Commerce was just a startup and mainly operated in Yan Kingdom. As long as they could take over many branches in Zhao country, they could open up a channel for expansion. They had already reached an agreement with Song country. They could go through Wucheng Pass to Song country and develop the central and southern parts of Wanlong Mountain. Zhang Daoyu is indeed an experienced schemer. With the cooperation of Sanha branch, Wan Chuan Chamber of Commerce can quickly expand. The Chamber of Commerce is in need of people. My Wang family has few people. It's not easy to develop important industries in Yan Kingdom. Now, Wan Chuan Chamber of Commerce can't send too many disciples. They can only recruit a large number of itinerant cultivators. However, these itinerant cultivators have no family and are not very reliable. Therefore, I want to recruit some of the Zhang family disciples into the Chamber of Commerce. It's better to have subordinates with families and businesses than those without roots. Zhang Dingming was pleasantly surprised. Although the Wang family was like adding oil to the fire and had strong momentum, it lacked a foundation. Otherwise, there would be no need to establish Wan Chuan Chamber of Commerce and develop various industries. Wan Chuan Chamber of Commerce's importance went without saying. Now that the Chamber of Commerce was newly established, anyone who could squeeze in would be considered an elder. In the future, when the Chamber of Commerce expanded, their status would be higher. Many thanks for your Majesty's kindness. The disciples of the Zhang family's various branches will be at your Majesty's disposal. Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, that's good. I'll send a letter to Yan Kingdom and get them to establish a few counties in the northern part of the mountain. When they are ready, you can go over and take up the post. After saying that, Xiaochen got Zhou Luan to take out the token and send a letter to Wang Daojin. Zhang Dingming cupped his hands and said, "Many thanks, Your Majesty. If Your Majesty and Shadow Master have no other instructions, this old subject will take his leave first." Wang Daoyuan nodded, and Zhang Dingming left the courtyard. After he left, Zhou Luan asked, "This fellow is an old fox. Do you really plan to use him? Other than you and me, there are no other Yuanian cultivators in the family. When we travel to the Sea of Seven Stars in the future, aren't you afraid that your subject will be strong and your master will be weak? There's no need to worry about that. Mingchen has awakened the Nanmingli fire. With the help of the spiritual fire, his cultivation speed won't be slow. It will only take him 100 years to break through to the Yuanian realm. In addition, with the 10,000 spirits pagoda, even peak-stage Yuanian cultivators can't touch him. Why should he be afraid of an early-stage Yuanian cultivator? Before I leave, I'll leave behind some 5th-grade sword cultivator puppets. They can kill early-stage Yuanian cultivators as easily as cutting vegetables. Whoever dares to cause trouble will be courting death. Chapter 926. The Zhang family had sought refuge in the Yan kingdom, and so had the Su family. More than 90% of the elders in Blood Shadow supported Zhou Luan. Only Elder Han and a few other elders remained neutral. People like them would not be biased towards any faction. They were the ones who were loyal to Blood Shadow. Unfortunately, Blood Shadow's main forces were the Zhang and Su families. These two families had pledged their allegiance to Zhou Luan, and some non-direct elders had also pledged allegiance to her. Blood Shadow had already become the property of the Wang clan. The few elders did not have the ability to stop them at all. He didn't need to do anything else. He just needed to wait quietly. Once the Chamber of Commerce expanded, it would slowly swallow up the various branches of Blood Shadow. Once all the branches became part of the Chamber of Commerce, Zhou Luan could propose that Blood Shadow be fully integrated into the Wan Chuan Chamber of Commerce. The Wang clan disciples would not have to go through so much trouble and follow the rules to enter Blood Shadow's headquarters. As long as he entered the Chamber of Commerce, he would be able to come to Blood Shadow's headquarters to receive guidance as a disciple of the Chamber of Commerce. This would allow the Wang family to digest the inheritance of the Valley of Beasts even faster. At that time, the Yan kingdom could be considered as a true top force. Since the Zhang family had already sided with them, there was no need for the Su family to torment the Zhang family's branch. In the future, the Zhang and Su families would enter the Yan kingdom. These two families with tens of thousands of years of history had a deeper foundation than the Wang family. Currently, the two families' biggest weakness was that they didn't have enough ordinary clansmen. After all, they were in the southern wasteland, and ordinary people couldn't live outside. Although the underground of the headquarters and the secret realm were vast, there was a limit to the number of people that could be accommodated. The Zhang and Su families only had 2 to 3 million mortals. Although the environment in Shanbei was not very good, it was much better than in the southern wilderness. After establishing a foundation in Shanbei, the number of ordinary clansmen of the two families would increase rapidly. After making up for the shortcoming of having too few ordinary people, the strength of the two families would grow very quickly in the future. Therefore, it was best for these two families to restrain each other so that they wouldn't have other ideas. Zhou Luan asked, "After dealing with Blood Shadow, are you going to return to Jade Spring Peak?" "There's no rush. Ming Ren and Ming Xian are already 9 years old. Next year, I'll bring them back to Jade Spring Peak to acknowledge their ancestors. After that, I will stay in the Yan Kingdom to accompany them for a few years. When they get used to living in the family, I'll come back to accompany you. Before I left Beiyuan, I made you a promise. The next time I go to the Sea of Seven Stars, I will definitely bring you along. I've caused a lot of trouble over there. All the major forces in the Qixing Sea Xiuxing community are after me. With your current strength, you might run into a lot of trouble there. Before you leave, you have to work hard to raise your cultivation. With my help, your cultivation speed will be faster, right?" Zhou Luan pinched him on the waist. "The two children are still here. Don't speak in such a rude manner. The presence of the two little fellows was indeed a bit of a hindrance. Now that Blood Shadow's side was in harmony, Wang Daoyuan didn't have to think about who to deal with. He also had plenty of time to perfect his own cultivation methods and spells. A year's time quickly passed. During this year, Wang Daoyuan focused on deducing the blooming water divine thunder. After all, when he went to the Sea of Seven Stars in the future, water-type spells were still the most reliable in the vast sea. In terms of cultivation methods, making even a small change required a lot of effort. He could only stop here. Wang Mingren and Wang Mingxian were already 10 years old. Wang Daoyuan took out a qi testing disc and told them to test their spirit roots. As Wang Mingren grew older, his personality became more and more domineering. He had a fearless demeanor. However, he wasn't afraid that he would be lawless in the future. The Yan Kingdom was Wang Mingxian's territory. Dealing with a brat wasn't a problem. Now that he heard that he had to test his spirit root, he quickly ran over. "Father, I'll go first." With that, he placed his small hand on the qi testing disc. He was now at the 5th level of qi refinement. He didn't need Wang Daoyuan's help to activate the qi testing disc. Soon, a 9-inch and 9-centimeter silver pillar of light appeared on the qi testing disc. Cultivators with heavenly spirit roots could appear in every era. That was the 9-inch and 8-centimeter spirit root. A 9-inch and 9-centimeter spirit root wasn't something that could be found in every era. His talent was slightly stronger than Wang Mingxian's, but Wang Mingxian had the Nanmingli fire to help him cultivate. This was equivalent to increasing the talent of his spirit root. Overall, his cultivation speed should be faster than his. A 9-inch and 9-centimeter heavenly spirit root is indeed rare. His talent isn't bad, but he needs to cultivate more. Then, Wang Mingxian also placed her hand on the qi testing disc. Soon, a jade-green pillar of light appeared on the qi testing disc. It was 9.7 inches tall. Her constitution should be a special wood spirit body. Both her spirit body and spirit root were formed by the connate 5 elements qi. People with spirit bodies usually didn't have high spirit roots because the connate 5 elements qi was scattered. It wasn't easy to have a 9-inch and 7-centimeter spirit root. The two children's spirit roots were extremely talented. Zhou Wan was naturally very satisfied. "The child I gave birth to is indeed extraordinary." Wang Daoyuan smiled. "Alright, it's all thanks to you. If there's nothing else to prepare, I'll be bringing them back to the Yan Kingdom." Zhou Wan's face was originally full of smiles, but now her eyes were filled with tears. "These two children have been by my side since they were young. I really can't bear to leave them now." Wang Daoyuan comforted her. "Don't worry too much. The Yan Kingdom is my territory. They also have Mingxian as their big brother. Who would dare to bully them?" Zhou Wan took out 2 small bags. "These are their clothes. I don't need to prepare anything for them. Anyway, you don't lack anything." Wang Daoyuan smiled. "Alright, we'll be leaving now. Mingren Mingxian, follow me back to the Yan Kingdom to acknowledge our ancestors." The two of them had never run around since they were young. At most, they played in the courtyard or around the neighborhood. Now that they heard that they could go on a long trip, they were especially excited. They each carried their own small bags and ran out of the door. Wang Daoyuan had already informed Zhang Mingguang that he would bring his family along when he returned to the Yan Kingdom. Although the Zhang family had already surrendered to the Yan Kingdom, his identity as a traitor of the Zhang family was still confirmed. Even if Zhang Dingming didn't say anything, the juniors of the Zhang family might target them. For safety's sake, it was better to send his family away. Wang Daoyuan walked out of the courtyard with the two little guys. Zhang Mingguang was already waiting outside with more than 30 people. When he saw Wang Daoyuan, he bowed and said, "Retired Emperor, my family is here. Please take them to the Linhai branch." His son was the deputy hall master of the Linhai branch. These families could also settle down there. "Don't worry. When we reach the Yan Kingdom, I'll send someone to send them there." The group of people followed Wang Daoyuan out of the Blood Shadow headquarters and came to the ground. Wang Daoyuan took out the 5th-grade flying boat. The group of people rowed the flying boat and headed north. Wang Mingren and Wang Mingxian had never been far from the small courtyard before. Now, not only could they run far away, but they could also fly in the sky. They were curious about everything they saw. Wang Mingxian pointed to the east and said, "Father, there's something very tall in the east. Is it the mountain mentioned in the book?" Wang Daoyuan nodded. This is the tallest and longest mountain range in Beiyuan Xiaoxian. It's called the Sky Beheading Mountain Range. Go north along this mountain range and you can return to the Yan Kingdom. Our Wang family's clansmen and your eldest brother are all there. Wang Mingren asked, "Why is it called the Sky Beheading Mountain Range? Has it been cut off?" It has indeed been cut off. Hundreds of thousands of miles to the south is the break of the Sky Beheading Mountain Range. When the Devil race invaded, a sword Immortal cut off the mountain range with a sword when killing the Devil race. Wang Mingren had a yearning look on his face. He then asked who cut off the mountain range. Along the way, the two little fellows had to get to the bottom of everything they saw. Wang Daoyuan also patiently explained to the two of them. Every time they encountered a relatively good scenery, they begged Wang Daoyuan to stop and watch for a while. After 6 or 7 days, the flying boat finally entered the Yan Kingdom. Chapter 927. The flying boat flew above the river. Wang Mingren and Wang Mingxian had seen many rivers along the way, but they were still very surprised when they saw Wanchuanhe. Wang Mingren asked, "Father, is that a river?" Wang Daoyuan smiled. "Of course it's a river. This is the biggest river in Beiyuan Xiaoxian. It's called Wanchuanhe. The big river in the north that flows into Wanchuanhe is called Qingli River. The source of Qingli River is our Wang family's Jade Spring Peak." The two little guys were so shocked by Wanchuanhe that they couldn't speak. They just nodded in a daze. The flying boat landed at Wanchuanhe Market and put down Zhang Mengguang's family. Jiaqi arranged for people to send them to the Linhai branch. Then, the flying boat continued to head north. For hours later, they arrived at Qingli City. Wang Mingxian looked at the city below and asked, "Father, is this our home? It's so beautiful." "This is Qingli City, so it's naturally our home. Your big brother lives here. You too can live here if you want." After saying that, the flying boat landed outside the palace. They walked into the palace and came to the imperial study where Wang Mingchen usually handled official business. Wang Shui and Wang Daochang were also here. Wang Mingchen's cultivation speed was indeed fast. He was already at the middle stage of the Golden Core realm. But it was normal. Wang Daoyuan used more than 20 years to cultivate from the early stage of the Golden Core realm to the middle stage of the Golden Core realm. Later on, it only took him 20 years to cultivate from the middle stage of the Golden Core realm to the late stage of the Golden Core realm. His cultivation speed relied on the spiritual fire to save time refining spirit qi, so his cultivation speed was comparable to ordinary cultivators with heavenly spirit roots. Wang Mingchen himself had a heavenly spirit root, so his speed of condensing vital essence was much faster than Wang Daoyuan. Also, the Nanming Li fire increased the speed of refining spirit qi. Golden Core realm didn't need to consider the balance of the 5 elements, so it was natural for his cultivation speed to be faster than Wang Daoyuan. Seeing Wang Daoyuan bring the two little guys in, Wang Mingchen bowed and said, "Greetings, father. Are they Mingren and Mingxian?" After saying that, he pinched their little faces. Wang Mingxian only looked at Wang Mingchen curiously. Wang Mingren was fearless. "If you dare to bully me and my sister, I'll beat you up." Wang Mingchen laughed. "Why would I bully you? I'm your brother, don't you think I look familiar?" Wang Mingxian replied, "You look like my mother, but why is your hair red?" "My hair was also black in the past, but after my vermilion bird bloodline awakened, my hair became fiery red. Don't you see Imperial Father also has a strand of red hair on his head? Now that you know who I am, why don't you call me Big Brother?" There were many members of the same generation in the Wang clan. Other than those who were ranked at the top, they didn't refer to the others by their ranks. Wang Mingchen was also very small in the Ming generation. He was ranked in the 300th place. Wang Mingxian cupped her hands obediently and said, "Brother." Wang Mingren also stopped being stubborn and followed suit. Wang Mingchen took out some spirit fruits and said, "Good girl, take this and eat it." Father, Ming Ren and Ming Xian's physiques are not ordinary. How are their spiritual roots? Ming Ren has a 9-inch 9-part metal spiritual root while Ming Xian has a 9-inch 7-part wood spiritual root. However, their physiques are very special, so I can't tell. Ancestor Myriad Spirits is experienced and knowledgeable, so you should be able to see some clues. Wang Mingchen was a little surprised. Ming Ren's spiritual root is strong enough. Coupled with his special physique, he is also a rare genius. With that, he summoned the 10,000 Spirits Pagoda and Ancestor Myriad Spirits appeared. This gave the two little guys a fright. Wang Mingxian was more timid and directly hid behind Wang Daoyuan. Wang Mingren was more daring. He took out his short sword magic weapon and was about to attack. Wang Daoyuan touched their heads and said with a smile, "Don't be afraid. This is an artifact spirit. It listens to your big brother and won't hurt you." Ancestor Myriad Spirit's eyes emitted golden light as he carefully examined their bodies. A moment later, a look of shock appeared on his face. After being stunned for a long time, his expression turned nostalgic and sorrowful. His expression changed several times before it turned into joy. Wang Daoyuan asked, "Ancestor Myriad Spirits, don't keep us in suspense. What's the deal with their special physiques? Say something." Ancestor Myriad Spirits sighed. Their physiques are indeed extraordinary, especially Ming Xian's physique. It reminds me of an old master. Her physique is also a kind of spiritual body, but not all spiritual bodies are the same. The most common spiritual body is Wang Delin's water spiritual body. Ming Xian's physique is a rare wood spiritual body called wood spiritual body. This kind of physique is very rare. In the history of the Valley of Beasts, only one person has appeared, and that was Divine Sovereign Greenwood. When he cultivated to the foundation establishment stage, he could directly communicate with spiritual plants and understand their meaning. When he reached the Purple Mansion realm, he could directly control all kinds of spiritual plants to fight against enemies. He was not like ordinary wood attribute cultivators who still needed to use their own magic to grow suitable spiritual plants. Back then, Divine Sovereign Greenwood's Purple Mansion anomaly was a small green sapling that emitted a strong vitality. He also used his Purple Mansion anomaly to control spiritual plants. Ming Xian's physique is not much different from his, so she will probably be able to do this in the future. By the way, is this little girl particularly interested in spiritual plants? Wang Daoyuan nodded. Indeed, I opened up a small spiritual field for her in the courtyard of Bloodshadow's headquarters. Ever since she learned how to walk, she has spent most of her time taking care of the spiritual field. That's right. This kind of physique is naturally close to spiritual plants. Divine Sovereign Greenwood was the only 8th-level spiritual plant farmer in the entire Qianyuan realm. Even those Earth Immortals were far inferior to him. She also cultivates the wood immortality technique, right? That's very suitable. Although her fighting strength is weak now, once she reaches the Purple Mansion realm, her strength will not be inferior to sword cultivation geniuses of the same level. If she is in a place with more high-level spiritual plants, she will be truly invincible among her peers. Wang Daoyuan was overjoyed. As an old father, he was naturally gratified that his daughter could be so promising. Ancestor Myriad Spirits continued. As for Ming Ren's physique, it is also a type of combat physique. This type of combat physique is rare and is called sword physique. Anyone with this physique is born with a sharp aura in their body. All of them are natural sword cultivators. Sword physiques are more common than the wood spiritual physique, but there are many types. This physique is somewhat related to bloodline inheritance. When I looked at his physique, I didn't find any bloodline of an expert sword cultivator. His sword physique is most likely influenced by your sword aura or sword spirit. I think he cultivates the killing sword art of White Tiger Hall, which is extremely suitable. It is also possible to let him cultivate the Guiyuan sword art. However, the Guiyuan sword art is a non-elemental cultivation technique. It is best for cultivators with 5 spiritual roots to cultivate. Guiyuan Sword Immortal's eldest disciple, Guiyuan, had a metal attribute heavenly spiritual root and also had a sword physique. Such a genius was personally taught by Beiyuan sword Immortal, but in the end he was only barely able to enter the ranks of mighty figures. Although the killing sword art is not as brilliant as the Beiyuan sword art, it is more suitable for cultivators with metal spiritual roots. When he cultivates to a high enough realm, he can deduce the cultivation technique on his own. The appearance of a spirit body has nothing to do with bloodline. It is basically luck. The appearance of a sword physique has a lot to do with bloodline. Since Wang Lin did not have the bloodline of an expert sword cultivator, he was most likely influenced by the sword spirit. Before Zhou Luan was pregnant with the two of them, Wang Daoyuan helped Beiyuan's sword Immortal temper the Beiyuan sword in the decimating heaven abyss. He should have been influenced by the sword spirit. In addition, the 5 artifact spirits that he tempered were about to take form. They would more or less be influenced. Wang Daoyuan summoned Yinglong, and Patriarch Myriad Spirits hurriedly hid in the Myriad Spirits Pagoda. I say, Grand Emperor, I didn't do anything. Why did you summon this living ancestor? You have lived for more than 200,000 years. Do you have to be so afraid? Previously, I used Beiyuan sword Immortal's inheritance to nurture a few embryonic artifact spirits. They were nurtured by a massive amount of heaven and earth's gifts, as well as Yinglong's power. However, they have always been stuck at the threshold of taking form, unable to become true artifact spirits. As a senior among the artifact spirits, you should guide them. Chapter 928. Back when he was in the Qixing Si Xiuxin community, he had already nurtured 5 embryonic forms of artifact spirits. It had been nearly 60 years since then. During this period, he had received many gifts from the heavens and the earth and had eaten a lot of the essence of the 5 elements spiritual fire. Coupled with Yinglong's charm and extremely strong luck, the foundation of ordinary artifact spirits could not be compared to the 5 of them. Now, their state was very close to that of a normal artifact spirit, but they could not take the last step. Yinglong spat out 5 light balls with a diameter of more than 5 inches, which quickly turned into the appearance of the 5 elements divine beasts. They were not weak in terms of movement and strength, but their intelligence was obviously lacking. Once artifact spirits were born, their intelligence was close to that of humans. Moreover, they would have different personalities according to their own laws. These 5 embryonic forms of artifact spirits were completely at the mercy of others. Their intelligence was extremely low, and they only had the most basic instincts. Ancestor Myriad Spirits came out of the 10,000 Spirits Pagoda and looked at the 5 embryonic forms of artifact spirits. Even an old monster like him who had lived for more than 200,000 years could not help but reveal an envious expression. These 5 little guys have been fed too many good things by you, and Yinglong has nurtured them personally, so their luck is too strong. If they can become true artifact spirits, the possibility of them becoming spirit clan members in the future is very high. However, their success is due to their foundation, and their failure is also due to their foundation. They have not been able to take the next step and become true artifact spirits because their foundation is too strong. You human geniuses and semi-divine beasts all have extremely strong heavenly tribulations, and artifact spirits are the same. The 5 of them are equivalent to the peerless geniuses of the human race. Their talent is too strong, so it is naturally difficult to form them. As long as one was a nascent soul cultivator, they would be able to nurture an ordinary artifact spirit. The strength of these 5 artifact spirits has already reached the peak of the 5th stage. After they have developed intelligence, they will have a big breakthrough and may reach the 6th stage as soon as they are formed. You are only a peak Yuanian cultivator now, so you can't nurture a 6th stage artifact spirit. Once you break through to the soul formation realm, there should be no problem. Wang Daoyuan nodded. I thought it was almost time to nurture them, but I didn't expect that I would have to wait for a while. Wang Lin and Wang Mingxian couldn't move their eyes away from the weapon spirit. The 5-inch-long artifact spirits looked like pets. Wang Lin chased after the white tiger artifact spirit while Wang Mingxian chased after the azure dragon artifact spirit. The auras of these 2 artifact spirits were similar to their special constitutions, which was very attractive to them. Patriarch Myriad Spirit said, "This artifact spirit of yours was refined from Sword Immortal Guyuan's legacy. I believe it's the 3 treasures artifact nurturing technique. Back when Sword Immortal Guyuan created this mystic art to nurture artifact spirits, he had consulted me. From the looks of it, he should have succeeded. The 3 treasures tool nurturing technique was mainly used to nurture a sword spirit. It seemed like Ming Ren's sword body was affected by the white tiger tool spirit. It's just that your nurturing method is a little wrong. If you nurture it in Yinglong's body, you'll be able to obtain extremely strong luck and the charm of the 5 elements divine beasts. However, they were artifact spirits after all. They couldn't stay in contact with artifacts for a long time, so their connection with artifacts was very weak. Without the support of an artifact, the artifact spirit would be flawed. It seems that this artifact spirit hasn't taken shape yet. It should be because of the lack of contact with artifacts. If this goes on, I'm afraid it'll be very difficult for you to fully take shape when you break through to the soul formation realm." Wang Daoyuan nodded. "Indeed, I've been keeping them inside Raindragon's body. I'll only put them into my magic tool when I'm about to unleash my killing move. It seems that I'll have to put them in artifacts in the future. By the way, Mingchen, how's the situation of the Myriad Rivers Chamber of Commerce?" Wang Mingchen replied, "Now the Myriad Rivers Chamber of Commerce has set up a headquarters and 4 branches. The headquarters is in Qingli City. The 4 branches are in Linhai Prefecture, Myriad Rivers Market, Guiyan City, and Falling Star Plain. I'm the president of the Chamber of Commerce. There are 2 vice presidents, Brother Mingkong and Uncle 27th. I'm just a nominal leader. After all, the others don't have enough prestige in such a big business. The usual affairs are left to the vice presidents. In order to control the situation, Brother Mingkong has also formed his corps. After the Chamber of Commerce was established, it recruited rogue cultivators wantonly. Now, it has recruited more than 30 Zifu realm rogue cultivators, more than 500 Foundation establishment rogue cultivators, and more than 3,000 Qi refinement rogue cultivators. This was because the Chamber of Commerce had just started and the businesses it developed were too few. When those businesses started to produce large amounts of resources, it could use these resources to recruit more rogue cultivators. After the Zhang family surrendered, Mingkong and Uncle 27th also contacted Hall Master Sanha. He also agreed to join the Chamber of Commerce. When we have enough people here and discuss with the state of Zhao, we can set up chambers of commerce everywhere in the state of Zhao. Naturally, there were some Wang family disciples and Blood Shadow disciples in the Chamber of Commerce. With all of them added together, their strength was comparable to the Netherworld sect from before. And it had only been 5 years since the Chamber of Commerce was established. You've done very well. I sent you a letter to set up a few counties in the northern part of the mountain. How's it going now? Wang Mingchen replied, I've set up a territory to the west of Guiyan County that is 100,000 miles long from east to west and 10,000 miles wide from north to south. I've set up the South Desert County to settle the Su family disciples. In the future, when the Su family has Yuanian cultivators, they can also come over to serve as the governor of South Desert County. In addition, to the west of South Desert County and Falling Stars County, I've set up a Hanhai County that is 20,000 miles wide from east to west and 50,000 miles long from north to south to settle the Zhang family. This Hanhai County is about the same size as South Desert County, but more than half of it is desert. However, the desert in the north of Hanhai County has many rivers that originate from Mount Huiyan. There are many oases that are much better than Falling Stars County. The Zhang family surrendered later than the Su family and opposed Imperial Mother. Even if they surrendered now, their treatment should be worse than the Su family. However, in order to keep the Su family in check, they can't be too weak. Therefore, I've made this arrangement. If Imperial Father has no objections, I can issue an edict at any time to appoint Zhang Dingming as the governor of Yan County's Hanhai County. Wang Daoyuan was very satisfied. Not bad. You've learned how to balance the various powers. I have nothing to worry about when I leave the affairs of the state of Yan to you. I'll take Ming Ren and Ming Xian to acknowledge their ancestors first. You can decide on these matters yourself. After saying that, Wang Daoyuan recalled the 5 weapon spirits and left the imperial study with the 2 children. They sat on the flying boat and flew towards Yuchuan Peak. After more than 10 years, the grade of Yuchuan Peak's spirit vein has improved by quite a bit. Previously, it was only at the upper grade of the 4th rank. Now, it has reached the peak of the 4th rank and is only a step away from the 5th rank. Of course, the spirit vein in Qingli City has also improved, but it hasn't reached the upper grade of the 4th rank yet. After all, the foundation of the spirit vein there is a bit worse. Its growth is already somewhat weak. It still needs a long time to grow to the 5th rank. The flying boat landed on Yuchuan Peak. Patriarch Wang Mingshan and Wang Daoshu came out to welcome them. The 2 little guys have good memories. When they saw Wang Daoshu, they rushed over and called her 8th aunt. Wang Daoshu hugged them in her arms and smiled. I didn't dote on you 2 little things for nothing. You still remember aunt. Wang Mingshan cupped his hands and said, 7th uncle, the ancestral recognition has been prepared. We can start at any time. Wang Daoyuan smiled and nodded. This matter can be handled by you as the patriarch. Soon, the 2 of them changed into the Wang family's white robes with dragon and fish patterns. Wang Mingshan brought them into the ancestral hall and kowtowed to the ancestral tablets. Then, their names were recorded in the family tree. Then, a wisp of their soul was extracted to refine a soul lamp. At this point, the 2 of them officially acknowledged their ancestors. Wang Daoyuan used his divine sense to look at the family tree. The 2 of them were already ranked after the 500th rank. There are many people in the family, so it is quite difficult to figure out who is older and who is younger. At this moment, a wave of spirit energy came from a cave abode beside the Jade Dragon Spring. Wang Daoyuan used his divine sense to investigate. It turned out that a family member had broken through. He carefully investigated and found that this person was the 2nd cultivator of the Wang family with the heavenly spirit root, Wang Lin. He was only in his 30s now, and his cultivation had already reached the 9th level of the foundation establishment realm. Chapter 929. He was already at the 9th level of foundation establishment before the age of 35. At this rate, Wang Lin would be able to open his Violet Palace in 3 to 5 years. A Violet Palace realm cultivator before the age of 40 was extremely rare even among the top powers. Even if he were to accumulate in the Violet Palace realm, he would be able to form his gold core at around 100 years old. The cultivation speed of a heavenly spirit root and a spiritual body was truly terrifying. Wang Lin only had a 9.3-inch water spirit root, while his daughter had a 9.7-inch wood spirit root and a E-wood spiritual body. In terms of cultivation speed, she should be faster than Wang Lin. Moreover, the profound sky emerald spirit peach kernels in the spirit pearl could increase the height of a wood spirit root. When the peach tree bore fruit, he could use the kernels to increase the height of Wang Mingxian's spirit root. In this way, it was possible to create a cultivator with a 1-foot heavenly spirit root and a spiritual body. This kind of talent had only appeared in the Valley of Beasts back then, and it was also nurtured by the profound sky emerald spirit peach kernels. After Wang Mingren and Wang Mingxian acknowledged their ancestors, Wang Daoyuan brought them out of the ancestral shrine and to the ancestral grave at the back of the mountain. Among the graves of the Shou generation, there was an especially large grave. This was the grave where Wang Daoyuan's parents were buried together. When ordinary clansmen were buried in the ancestral grave, their graves were mostly at the edge of the graveyard. It was already extremely rare for them to be buried together with other clansmen. They were the only ones whose grave was larger than the other clansmen's. Father, mother, Zhou Luan and I have given you a grandson and a granddaughter. Their cultivation talent is even better than Mingxian's. Mingren, Mingxian, this is your grandparents' grave. Kowtow to them 3 times and let them see their grandson and granddaughter. The 2 little fellows were quite obedient and kowtowed to their grandparents. According to the clan's rules, children who had reached adulthood and started cultivating had to cultivate in the Wang clan's 100 Arts Hall. This was done to help the children cultivate and to foster a sense of belonging to the clan. Of course, it was also to control them. Children in their teens were at the age where they had strength but nowhere to use it. However, these children had already cultivated. If they weren't controlled, they could really poke a hole in the sky. Wang Daoist brought them to the west side of the Jade Spring Peak, where there was a flat land that covered an area of more than 20 mu. On the flat ground, more than 20 spacious wooden huts were built using spirit wood. Inside each wooden hut, there were a dozen to dozens of teenagers. From time to time, the sound of a lecture and children asking questions could be heard from the room. Of course, there were also the delightful cries of naughty children. Wang Daoist probed with his divine sense and found a middle-aged clansman slapping a child's palm. As he fought, he said, "Each of you drew 20 rain dissipation talismans. I only asked you to draw the talisman inscriptions. Everyone else has finished, but you forgot to bring it. I asked you to go back and get it, but you said you left it in Qingli City." Wang Daoist couldn't help but laugh. Different worlds, same excuse. This large building looked a bit like a school in his previous life. This was the Wang clan's 100 Arts Hall. Cultivators would stay here to study from the moment they started cultivating. After they reached the age of 20, they would work in various industries according to their abilities. Wang Mingren and Wang Mingxian had a very good foundation. After all, they were personally taught by Wang Daoist and Zhou Luan, two Yuanning cultivators. What they needed to learn was the 100 arts of cultivation. If it weren't for the sake of cultivating their sense of belonging to the clan, they would have been allowed to cultivate in the imperial palace of Qingli City. With the guidance of the old antique ancestor myriad spirits, it would be much better than here. Wang Daoist didn't deliberately conceal his aura. Soon, a middle-stage Zifu realm cultivator came out. He bowed and said, "Grandson Wang Dexiang greets 7th granduncle, uncle, and aunt." Wang Dexiang wasn't very old, only 150 or 60 years old. He had a high chance of forming his gold core. He was the hall master of the 100 Arts Hall, which was equivalent to the headmaster of the Wang clan's private school. Wang Daoist waved his hand and said, "No need to be so polite. Mingren and Mingxian will cultivate here for the time being. Your Granny 7th and I have already taught them the general knowledge of cultivation. You can arrange for them to learn the 100 arts of cultivation. Mingxian is extremely talented as a spirit plant farmer. She can also be nurtured as a spirit chef and alchemist. Mingren is suitable for the path of artifact forging. You can also teach him a bit about formations. Their cultivation speed is too fast. I'm worried that their foundation won't be stable. Try to arrange more time for them to learn the 100 arts of cultivation." Wang Dexiang cupped his hands and said, "Don't worry, 7th granduncle. I'll arrange it well." Wang Daoist nodded. "Mingren, Mingxian, you two cultivate here. Listen to the elders. I've already sent a message to Wang Bei. He'll be here soon. He'll take care of you. If there's something he can't solve, he'll inform me." Before he finished speaking, a white cloud floated over from the southeast. Soon, the white cloud landed on the mountaintop. A muscular man wearing a black leather robe descended from the white cloud. Wang Daoist introduced, "Mingren, Mingxian, this is Wang Bei. You can call him Uncle Black in the future." Wang Mingren and Wang Mingxian bowed and said, "Greetings, Uncle Black. Dahe, I'll leave these two little guys to you. Don't worry, second young master. I'm familiar with this job. Mingren, Mingxian, I'll protect you in the future. If you don't cultivate in the 100 Arts Hall, I'll beat you up for your parents. Your big brother Wang Mingchen was also beaten up by me when he was young." The two little guys looked at Dahe. He looked very similar to Wang Daoist, so they weren't too afraid. Wang Dexiang called over 2 Foundation Establishment juniors and brought Wang Mingren and Wang Mingxian to 2 wooden houses to learn with the other disciples. Wang Daoist said a few more words to Dahe. Then he left the Jade Spring Peak and flew east. Dahe found a place nearby to meditate. 15 minutes later, Wang Daoist arrived near the Sky/Mountain Range's main mountain range. Previously, he had refined the 5th grade sword puppet Xianji. However, the Blood Shadow's headquarters was too small. There wasn't a place for it to familiarize itself with battle. The 5th grade sword puppet had also grasped the Beiyuan sword intent. Its strength wasn't inferior to those great demon kings. The only one who could spar with it was Wang Daoyuan. Wang Daoyuan released Xianxia and ordered it to attack him. It instantly turned into a silver light and attacked him. Then, Xianxia used the Heavenly Dipper sword formation to surround Wang Daoyuan. Wang Daoyuan also condensed the Heavenly Dipper sword formation and clashed head-on with Xianxia's sword formation. The result was self-evident. Xianxia's sword formation directly shattered. Wang Daoyuan didn't attack again. Instead, he let Xianxia continue to attack. 2 months later, Xianxia could already skillfully use the sword cultivation techniques he had learned, although he was still unable to withstand a single blow from Wang Daoyuan. However, it was definitely not a problem to deal with a great demon king, especially since Xianxia had 2 things to track the enemy. One was a compass, and the other was a secret technique. Wang Daoyuan couldn't hide from it even if he used the hidden demon art. He put Xianxia into the space of the Spirit Pearl and returned to the Jade Spring Peak. In these 2 months, Wang Mingren and Wang Mingxian had already adapted to life in the 100 Arts Hall. Whenever they were free, they would go to Wang Daoshu's place to eat and drink. Their days were pretty good. A few days after Wang Daoyuan returned to the Jade Spring Peak, he received a message from his master, Perfected Lei Yan. He brought Wang Daoyin and Wang Mingting to the Jade Spring Peak to see Wang Mingren and Wang Mingxian. They were about to reach the territory of the Yan Kingdom. Wang Daoyuan also took a flying boat and headed south. As soon as he arrived at Wanchuan Market, he saw a flying boat of the Divine Weapon Pavilion coming from the south. Seeing Wang Daoyuan coming to welcome him, Wang Daoyin stood on the bow of the boat and shouted, "Second brother, I'm here to see you." With that, he flew over from the Divine Weapon Pavilion's flying boat. He was already at the late stage of the Golden Core realm. When the demon beasts rebelled, Perfected Lei Yan was already prepared to die in battle. Disciples with high potential like him were all hidden in some mystic realms. After dealing with the demon race, Wang Daoyin had been in seclusion. Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, "Third brother, we brothers haven't seen each other for many years. Isn't that so? You've left the cultivation world of the Northern Abyss for decades. After you came back, I have been in seclusion. If it weren't for the excuse of visiting his nephew and niece, I'm afraid Master wouldn't have let me out." Chapter 930. Lei Yan also came out of the cabin and stood at the bow. "You are my only personal disciple. You are only 10 years younger than Daoyuan, and you started cultivating only 10 years later. Daoyuan is already at the peak of Yuanying, and you haven't even reached the peak of the Golden Core realm. Although the demons don't dare to show up now, there is still danger. Without the Yuanying realm, you can't even protect yourself. Ming Ting is your disciple, and he is already at the early stage of the Golden Core realm. I told you to cultivate in seclusion because I expected better from you." Wang Daoyin didn't take it seriously. "My second brother is a rare genius. If it weren't for my special physique, I would only be an ordinary person. If I compete with him in cultivation speed, wouldn't I be asking for trouble?" Daoist Thunderflame's face was filled with disappointment, but he didn't say anything else. Soon, he heard a sound coming from his body. "Lei Yan let me out. I haven't seen my big brother for many years. I miss him." Lei Yan couldn't do anything to him, so he took out the purple gold exquisite pagoda. Linglong also flew out of the pagoda and landed on Wang Daoyuan's shoulder. "Big brother, long time no see. Give me something to eat." Wang Daoyuan took out 5 rootless fires and gave them to Linglong. "Not bad. Your strength has recovered to the middle of the 5th rank." She swallowed all the rootless fires. "You can only blame yourself for being too useless. If I followed you, I would have broken through to the peak of the 5th rank." Lei Yan was now at the middle stage of Yuanying. He was the first Yuanying cultivator after the decline of the spiritual aura in Beiyuan Xioshin. It had been more than 100 years since he broke through to the Yuanying realm. His talent was not bad, at least much better than Wang Daoyin's. Unfortunately, the spiritual aura recovery time was too short. Otherwise, he would have been at the late stage of Yuanying. Wang Daoyuan released a lot of rootless fires, and Ling Long also ate and drank. The flying boat soon arrived at the Jade Spring Peak. Wang Daoyuan sent a message to Dahe and learned that the two little guys were eating at 8 Fan's place. Dahe quickly brought them over, along with Wang Daoshu and Zhao Liang. When the two saw Daoist Thunderflame, they hurriedly bowed and said, "Greetings, Master." Daoist Thunderflame waved his hand. "There's no need to be so courteous. Looks like the rumors are true. Daoyuan, you really did obtain the inheritance of the man-made purple mansion phenomenon in the Valley of Beasts. Unfortunately, the Valley of Beasts, the #1 power in Beiyuan in the past, was annihilated by the demonic beasts. Otherwise, with the support of the Valley of Beasts, the human race would not have suffered such heavy losses during the chaos of the demon race 10,000 years ago." Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, "Your disciple has indeed received some inheritances from the Valley of Beasts. However, the Wang family's foundation is too weak. It will take a long time to digest these inheritances." Lei Yanzhenren nodded. "Let's not talk about this. Ming Ran and Ming Xian are only 10 years old, right? They've already reached Qi Disciple Stage 5. Now that the Spirit Qi had recovered, Cultivator's cultivation speed was getting faster and faster. At this rate, they might be able to form their nascent souls before they're 200 years old. If they cultivate too fast, their foundations might become unstable. It's better to suppress their cultivation speed. Right? How are their spirit roots? Ming Ren has a 9-inch 9-point metal spirit root. His physique is sword body. Ming Xian has a 9-inch 7-point wood spirit root. Her physique is spirit body. Wang Ming Ren and Wang Ming Xian were a bit shy. They just stared at Wang Daoyin. Wang Daoyuan introduced him to them. "This is Grandmaster, and also my master. This one looks like me and is your third uncle. He's also my younger brother." They obediently bowed. "Greetings, Grandmaster." "Greetings, third uncle." Lei Yanzhenren stroked his beard and laughed. These two children are even more talented than Ming Chen. It won't be difficult for them to cultivate to the Yuanying stage. I heard that the Wang family also produced a water spirit body with a heaven spirit root. They're really lucky. Then he took out 2 storage bags. "This is a gift for my 2 grand disciples. My current refining skills are not as good as yours. Don't dislike this gift." Wang Daoyuan took the storage bags. "Master, how can your gift be bad? How can I dislike it?" Wang Daoyin also took out 2 storage bags. "As their uncle, I have to do something. These are some small things I refined for my nephews and nieces to play with." Wang Daoyuan looked at the storage bags. There were some protective magic weapons in them, so he put them away. They're protected by Dahe now. There won't be any problems. I'll keep these things and give them to them when they grow up. Wang Daoyin glanced at Dahe and asked, "Is this Dahe? I didn't dare to recognize it after it transformed. I thought it was another genius descendant of Big Brother." "Dahe, why did you transform into Big Brother?" Dahe laughed. "I have to look like a human. I'm most familiar with young master, so I can only transform into his appearance." Lei Yan looked at it for a while and asked, "Dahe, has he awakened the bloodline of an ancient beast? The aura on his body reminds me of the West Sea Demon clan." Master is really wise. Dahe has the bloodline of the heavenly dog, but the spiritual energy of heaven and earth can't stimulate it. I killed a lot of West Sea Demon clan before and used their blood essence to refine pills. These pills are cheap for Dahe. His heavenly dog bloodline is getting stronger and stronger. Lei Yan nodded. "It's really good. With the awakening of the heavenly dog bloodline, it won't be a problem for him to cultivate to the 5th level in the future." Not long after, the banquet prepared by Wang Daoshu was served. Most of the people present were body refiners, so they were very interested in food. Lei Yan said while eating, "Daoyin's cooking skills are too bad. I haven't eaten such delicious food in a long time. You gave him so many recipes, but he didn't learn any of them. You've ruined so many good ingredients in the Divine Weapon Pavilion." Wang Daoyin didn't show any weakness. "You still have the nerve to talk about me. Every time I cook, you blindly direct me. Sometimes you even do it yourself. The food I make isn't that delicious, but it's still edible. It's against my conscience to say that the food you make is edible. You don't have Daoyuan's talent in cultivation, and you can't compare to him in alchemy, tools, and talisman arrays. You can't even look at your cooking skills. You were such an honest child back then, but now you talk back to me. When you return to Jade's Spring Peak this time, don't even think about leaving if you don't learn some of Daoshu's cooking skills. After eating for a while, Wang Daoshu served several star-patterned sea cucumbers. Daoist Thunderflame took a bite and revealed an astonished expression. I've eaten a lot of sea cucumbers, but it's the first time I've eaten a 5th-level sea cucumber, and it even contains star power. This thing is definitely a treasure for body refiners. Where did you catch it? I'll go to the sea and catch some later. Our Beiyuan doesn't produce this thing. These sea cucumbers were all caught overseas. There's a special kind of spatial magic artifact over there that allows demon beasts and spirit plants to live and reproduce. It's just that this magic artifact is far inferior to a secret realm. It can only rely on external energy to maintain the stability of the space. I bought one over there and raised some star-patterned sea cucumbers in it. He took out a jade slip. This magic artifact isn't much different from a cosmos ring. It's just that the requirements for the materials are higher. Back in the day, the ancestors of the Valley of Beasts all traveled overseas and mastered the refining method of this magic artifact. I don't have any use for these things at the moment, so I haven't refined them. If you want to raise star-patterned sea cucumbers, you still need star power and a 5th-level star core in a spatial treasure. This is the refining method for a life spirit ring. Master, you can give it a try. Lei Yen waved his hand. The Divine Weapon Pavilion controls many secret realms. This kind of storage space isn't very useful. However, this thing is still very valuable to wandering cultivators and some small factions. You can refine some and use them to earn spirit stones. The Divine Weapon Pavilion has a large business and won't compete with you for business. Chapter 931. They stayed at Jade Spring Peak for a few days, while Thunderflame and Wang Daoyin continued to tear each other down. I've been eating Daoyin's cooking for a long time. As a Yuanian cultivator, I almost had a stomachache, but I've finally recovered. I've been guarding the West Sea all these years, and then I went into seclusion to cultivate. I haven't seen Mingchen for many years. Let's go to Qingli City to see him. Ever since Clear Glass City was established, I've never been there. Wang Daoyuan naturally had no objections. He took out his flying boat and flew south with Thunderflame and Wang Daoyin. Arriving at the Imperial Study, Wang Mingchen hurriedly bowed. Greetings, Grandmaster. Greetings, Royal Father. Greetings, Third Uncle. Thunderflame nodded. No need for formalities. You're indeed a cultivation genius. You're already at Mid-Oris Core. Did you see that, Daoyin? Your nephew's cultivation is almost catching up to yours. The two of them bickered all day long, and Thunderflame would find an opportunity to mock Wang Daoyin. Of course, Wang Daoyin was not to be outdone, and always retaliated without hesitation. Without waiting for Wang Mingchen to reply, Patriarch Myriad Spirits took the initiative to come out. I can sense that little girl Linglong is here. Come out and meet me. I've been sleeping for tens of thousands of years, and I can finally see an acquaintance. Thunderflame took out Linglong Pagoda, and Linglong flew out. She was pleasantly surprised to see Patriarch Myriad Spirits. Brother Myriad Spirits, we haven't seen each other for tens of thousands of years since the Valley of Beasts was destroyed. I thought you were gone. Nothing good comes out of a dog's mouth. I was forged by the Myriad Beasts' supremacy and an Earth immortal. Who has the ability to kill me? Thunderflame cupped his hands. Junior Thunderflame, the successor of the treasured cauldron lineage, greets Patriarch Myriad Spirits. Patriarch Myriad Spirits' eyes glowed purplish gold as he carefully looked at Thunderflame. You're indeed a descendant of the Purple Thunder supremacy. It's not easy for this constitution to be passed down to this day. Speaking of which, I have some ties with your ancestor, the Purple Thunder supremacy. Perfected Thunderflame was dumbfounded. Wang Daoyuan explained, previously, Patriarch Myriad Spirit took a look at my providence and said that I possess the bloodline of the Purple Lightning Divine Supremacy. The Purple Thunder deity's ability was the Purple Thunder Divine Flame. For Master to be able to awaken such a divine ability, he must be a descendant of the Purple Thunder divinity. Lei Yanzhenren finally understood and asked, "The 10,000 Spirits Pagoda is the magic weapon of the previous sect masters of the Valley of Beasts. How did it end up in Ming Chen's hands?" Patriarch Myriad Spirit said, "Now Wang Mingchen is the sect master of the Valley of Beasts. Although his cultivation is a little weak, his talent is enough. Even I have recognized him as my master." Venerable Lei Yen was a little confused. "So, the Valley of Beasts hasn't been destroyed? That didn't seem right either. The Valley of Beasts had always been very strict when it came to choosing successors. No matter how strong Mingchen is, he didn't grow up in the Valley of Beasts." Patriarch Myriad Spirit said with a smile, "Most of the ancient secrets of your 4 sects have been destroyed, so it's normal that you don't know about them. However, Ling Long had lived for more than 100,000 years. She should know about these things. Otherwise, he wouldn't have called him Big Brother." "What? He didn't tell you?" Lei Yanzhenren was still very puzzled. Ling Long replied, "Although I don't know as much as you, I still know a little. The Dragon of Destiny is not only the ancestor of the 5 elements divine beasts, but also the strongest of the spirit race. Which of us, the artifact spirits, doesn't know about him? It's just that Dao Yuan's foundation is still too weak. Beiyuan Xiaoxian is so dilapidated that it's almost impossible to support a huge force. If he wants to fight with the big forces of the Qianyuan world, his chances of winning are slim. Rather than die, it's better to live well in Beiyuan." Patriarch Myriad Spirit chuckled. "You're too naive. Do you think he can stay out of this matter just because he doesn't want to? For those big forces, he's a fat piece of meat. They can climb up the social ladder and submit to him. In the future, they can get some of his destiny. If he's really unreliable, they can capture him and give him to the other children of destiny to exchange for wealth. If he becomes the child of destiny, he can either commit suicide or live well. The inheritance of the Valley of Beasts has almost been cut off. Other than taking a gamble, we have no other choice. Besides, there's always a way out. Since Dao Yuan has this opportunity, the heavenly Dao won't watch him die. Otherwise, why would the spiritual qi of Beiyuan Xiaoxian recover?" Ling Long sighed, "If it were me, I would definitely give it a try. If I succeed, I might become a spirit. Even if I fail, the winner won't destroy the artifact. But I have a master, and I can't make the decision." Their echoes confused Daoist Lei Yen. "What are you talking about? Can you make it clear? Why do I feel like I'm a burden?" Exquisite replied, "The records of the Divine Weapon Pavilion before the appearance of the decimating heaven abyss have mostly been destroyed. You know too little. To put it simply, the Qianyuan world is in trouble again. The will of this world, which is what we call the heavenly Dao, has already foreseen the impending disaster. In order to protect himself, he will cultivate a group of cultivators with great destiny, known as the Children of Destiny. Their growth speed is extremely fast, far surpassing that of ordinary cultivators. When they reach the realm of a mighty figure, a war of destiny will erupt. The various children of destiny will conquer each other, defeat their opponents, and fight for destiny. In the end, a child of destiny will win and become the leader of the human race, quelling the disaster. Dao Yuan is one of those children of destiny, or else he wouldn't be where he is today. The previous leader of the human race was Sword Immortal Gui Yuan, who died in the end to resist the demons. It's unknown when the next great calamity will be, but since the children of destiny have appeared, it shouldn't be far. These children of destiny have to conquer each other, and they need the support of a large faction. The faction that defected to the children of destiny will also receive some destiny, and their strength will greatly increase. If the children of destiny win in the end, the faction that defected can also use this to grow into the top faction in the entire Qianyuan world. The Valley of Beasts is now under Dao Yuan's command. How will the Divine Weapon Pavilion choose in the future? Daoist Lei Yen was still in a daze, but Wang Daoyin was already very excited. That means, second brother can become a mighty figure in the future? Our treasure tripod lineage's founder was only a Mahayana cultivator. Seeing that Daoist Lei Yan was still in a daze, Wang Daoyin persuaded, Master, what else do you have to consider? He is my second brother and your in-name disciple. Can our treasure tripod lineage disassociate ourselves from this matter? There's no way to hide, so we can only follow second brother wholeheartedly. If second brother wins, the Divine Weapon Pavilion will receive the greatest benefits and become the top faction in the Qianyuan world. If he fails, even if we don't submit to him, we will be implicated. Daoist Lei Yan looked at Wang Daoyin in surprise. When did your brain become so good? Could it be that you are also affected by Dao Yuan's destiny? However, you are right. Dao Yuan is my in-name disciple, so there's no way we can stay out of this. The only hope for the treasure tripod lineage to continue is for Dao Yuan to become the final victor. He bowed at Wang Dao Yuan. The treasure tripod lineage is willing to serve you as our master. Wang Dao Yuan hurriedly supported him. No matter what level I cultivate to in the future, you will always be my master. How can a master bow to his disciple? Daoist Lei Yan smiled. In the future, I will sell my old life to you. As for the Pavilion Master's lineage's choice, I can't control it. I can only try my best to persuade them to submit to you. However, the founder of the Pavilion Master's lineage is the disciple of a mighty figure. In the future, when the War of Destiny erupts, their choice of side will depend on that mighty figure. If that mighty figure doesn't think highly of you, I can only leave the Divine Weapon Pavilion with the treasure tripod lineage's properties and submit to the Yen Kingdom. Wang Daoyuan waved his hand. There's no need to be so anxious. I am only at the peak of the Yuanying realm now. I am thousands of miles away from the mighty figure realm. Even Guiyuan's sword Immortal took thousands of years to cultivate to the mighty figure realm. It won't be too late to subdue them after I cultivate to the soul formation realm. It will also give the Yen Kingdom plenty of time to grow. Otherwise, the Yen Kingdom will be too weak and bully its master. Chapter 932. If he wanted to compete with the children of destiny south of decimating heaven abyss, he would need to be extremely powerful. With Beiyuan Xiuxian's little foundation, it was already extremely difficult to achieve this. However, Beiyuan also had a great advantage, that was, Guiyuan's sword Immortal was guarding decimating heaven abyss. If people and demonic beasts south of decimating heaven abyss dared to come, they would have to ask Guiyuan's sword if he agreed. In the future, Beiyuan could be his backyard. If he couldn't unify Beiyuan, his backyard wouldn't be stable. How could he talk about war? Of course, now was not the time to make a move. To unify Beiyuan, it was best to infiltrate under the name of the Chamber of Commerce. Lei Yan smiled. You've always been smart, I don't need to tell you what to do. Since I've decided to help you, then I'll do my best. The southern wasteland is fine, junior brother Yunhe and the others have already broken through to the Yuanying realm, and Treasured Cauldron Mountain doesn't need me to oversee it. Wang Clan's foundation is weak. I can also impart the Treasured Cauldron lineage's refining and cultivation experience here. Wang Daoyuan smiled. Other than cultivation, I still have to study alchemy, artifacts, and talisman arrays. I really don't have much time to guide the clan's disciples. If Master could give them some pointers, that would be the best. Wang Daoyin curled his lips. It's because he's greedy and doesn't want to leave. Yen country doesn't lack delicacies, and there's also eighth sister, the chef. He can't walk. Lei Yan's true thoughts were exposed, and he said angrily, Sooner or later, I'll be angered to death by you, my traitorous disciple. You don't reflect on your poor skills. He didn't know what was going on with this pair of master and disciple. Daoyin used to be quite obedient, but now he was bickering with his master all day long. Seeing the two of them enjoying themselves, Wang Daoyuan couldn't be bothered to care about these things. After chatting for a long time, Wang Daoyuan received a message from Wang Daojian that the rank 3 demonic beast he asked him to help find had arrived. Little Uncle and Zhao Liang's cultivation had already reached the peak of the Zifu realm. It was time to create a Zifu phenomenon for them. He had already tested the two before. Little Uncle had the highest chance of awakening the dragon, while Zhao had the highest chance of awakening the fire-winged quail. Little Uncle and Zhao Liang's cultivations have already reached the peak of the Zifu realm. It's time for me to create a Violet Palace phenomenon for them as well. The demonic beast that he had asked his 27th brother to help him find had already been found. It was time for him to make his move. Mingchen, accompany Grandmaster for a chat first. I'll make a trip back to Jade Spring Peak. Reverend Lei Yen waved his hand and said, "There's no need. I also want to take a look at the secret technique of the Valley of Beasts. Let's return to Jade Spring Peak together." Wang Daoyuan summoned his flying boat and carried the two of them back to Jade Spring Peak. Wang Daojian was already waiting for them. Seeing the three of them arrive, Wang Daojian bowed. Now that he was already at the intermediate stage of the Golden Core realm, it seemed that he was quite suitable to cultivate the Guiyuan sword technique. Then he took out two interspatial rings. A drake and a fire-winged quail, both of which are of the 3rd level. Wang Daoyuan took the Cosmos ring and checked it. The two demonic beasts were living well. It's not bad. I'll go back to my cave residence and take care of it. After saying that, he returned to his cave abode on the mountain and began to deal with the two demonic beasts. He had already done this several times, so it wasn't difficult at all. It only took him a little more than half a day to deal with the two demonic beasts at the same time. Then, after dealing with the souls and blood essence of the demonic beasts, he went to the formation hall on the mountainside on the east side of Jade Spring Peak. Most of the formation masters in the clan usually practiced the Tao of formations here. The formation hall was more leisurely. After all, the places where formations needed to be set up were limited. When the weapon refining hall didn't need to refine flying boats, they didn't have much to do. Therefore, many disciples of the clan who had just come of age came here to learn formations. As the second formation master of the Wang clan, Wang Shouzhe also usually taught disciples here. Seeing Wang Daoyuan come here, he asked somewhat excitedly, "Have the demonic beasts arrived?" Wang Daoyuan nodded. "I've already taken care of things here. As long as you're ready, we can start now." Wang Shouzhe nodded. "I've already prepared." The two of them came to a quiet cave abode in the north of the formation hall. All the formations in the cave abode that could resist external disturbances were all activated. Wang Daoyuan took out some nectar of the 7-leaf ghost face flower and had Wang Shouzhe drink it. Then he sent the Hui dragon's soul into his sea of consciousness. The handover was very smooth. The rest was up to him. As long as there were no flaws in the soul and he didn't have any inner demons, the possibility of failure was very small. In order to avoid any accidents, Wang Daoyuan wasn't in a hurry to help Zhao Liang create the Purple Mansion anomaly. 3 days later, an extremely pure black spiritual power appeared above the cave mansion out of thin air. Then, it turned into a black Hui dragon and entered the cave abode. Lei Yanjinren also flew here. In the Divine Weapon Pavilion's records, it only mentioned that the Valley of Beasts had the means to create a Purple Mansion mystic realm. But for some reason it didn't spread. 50,000 years ago, the demonic beast clan was in chaos in the sky-chopping mountain range. The Valley of Beasts disappeared without a trace. I used to think that it was just a rumor. I didn't expect it to be true. The Valley of Beasts means to steal the fortune of heaven and earth and invade the mysteries of the sun and moon. The Divine Weapon Pavilion's foundation is still too weak. Half a day later, Wang Shouzhe walked out of the cave abode with a face full of joy. I have the Purple Mansion anomaly. I can also sense the water element laws. I can form my core at any time. Wang Daoyuan smiled. You should wait for a few days first. I'll create a Purple Mansion anomaly for Zhao Liang too. After I'm done here, the two of you can go through the tribulation together. You should consolidate your cultivation for the next few days. Wang Shouzhe nodded and returned to the cave abode to continue his seclusion. Wang Daoyuan and Lei Yanjinren came to Zhao Liang's cave abode again. Zhao Liang had a nervous look on his face. After all, he had a serious inner demon. Back then, he failed to establish his foundation. When he was establishing his Purple Mansion, he was suppressed by the demon-resisting pendant. It took him a lot of effort to succeed. Now, the possibility of failure was still very high. Wang Daoyuan took out a piece of mystic ice chalcedony. This was something he extorted from the demons before he left Beiyuan. Originally, he didn't have any use for it. However, it was still very effective to suppress his inner demon. This is the mystic ice chalcedony. Even if your inner demon hasn't been resolved, it shouldn't be a problem with this. Zhao Liang took the mystic ice chalcedony and nodded. Then I'll have to trouble seventh brother-in-law. Wang Daoyuan controlled the fire-winged quail's soul and merged it into his sea of consciousness. Then he left the cave abode. With the inner demon's interference, the possibility of failure wasn't small. Lei Yanzhenren sighed. This child is pitiful. He has been hunted since he was young. He has a weak personality. He has always kept things in his heart. It's easy for him to develop inner demons. He can only rely on himself. No one can help him. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. There were no signs of the Zifu anomaly appearing. Wang Daoyuan and Lei Yanzhenren sat outside his cave abode, sipping tea and waiting quietly. Even on the 7th day, there were still no signs of movement. The two were somewhat anxious. This thing involved the soul. If something went wrong, the damage would be significant. At this moment, a pure, fire-red spiritual force appeared out of thin air. It turned into a fire-winged quail at the entrance of Zhao Liang's cave abode. After circling a few times, it fell into his cave abode. The two heaved a sigh of relief. They were originally worried that something would happen to Zhao Liang. They didn't expect it to succeed. Half a day later, Zhao Liang walked out of the cave abode. His face was relaxed and there was joy between his brows. In the past, he had been plagued by inner demons. There was a gloominess between his brows. He always gave others a feeling of misery. Wang Daoyuan asked, "Have you completely resolved your inner demons?" Zhao Liang smiled. "The underworld sect has already been destroyed. The people who hunted my family are also dead. The Zhao clan has already recovered. I also have many children and grandchildren. The disaster has already become a thing of the past. There is no need to worry about it." Lei Yanzhenren stroked his beard and laughed. "Good. You've resolved your inner demons. Your mental state has also improved greatly. I didn't expect that disciple Zhao Liang, who always had a sad face, would also have a time to laugh." Chapter 933. Zhao Liang cupped his hands towards Lei Yan. "I've made Master worry all these years. I should have let go of the past, but I've been thinking about it for many years. It's good that you can let go of it. Look forward. Now that you have the Purple Mansion phenomenon and your cultivation has reached the peak of the Purple Mansion realm, your core formation is just around the corner. Among your senior brothers, there are a few who are far more talented than you, but they haven't reached core formation yet. You have such good fortune, so you should cherish it." Wang Daoyuan took out a gold formation pill and a pine nut. "You've also comprehended the power of the earth-type laws, right? Adjust yourself and form your core together with little uncle. I know about the gold formation pill. Is this pine nut also a spiritual item that assists in core formation?" The jade needle white jade pine's pine nuts have the effect of assisting in core formation. Your spiritual roots are rather weak, so only the gold formation pill isn't very stable. It's safer to add a pine nut. Wang Daoyuan sent a message to little uncle and gave him a gold formation pill and a pine nut. There are too many clansmen on Jade Spring Peak, and there are many properties. It's not convenient to form our core formation here. Let's go near the Heaven/Mountain Range's main vein. Wang Shouja smiled. Mingchen asked the clansmen to find a suitable mystic realm for tribulation transcendence. It's about 500 kilometers north of Mount Serene. Tribulation transcendence in the mystic realm won't be disturbed by the outside world. It's much safer. I really don't know about that. It's north of Mount Serene. It's not far from the Heaven/Mountain Range's main vein. There should be a 5th grade spirit vein in the mystic realm. It looks like our Wang clan has struck gold. There's no time to lose. Let's go there as soon as possible. The 4 of them boarded the flying boat and headed north. They soon arrived at the location of the Tribulation Transcendence mystic realm. The ground here was relatively flat. and there was a 5th-grade elemental spirit vein underground. Although the scale wasn't large, it was a remnant of the Heaven/Mountain range, so the spirit energy was very pure. The spirit energy was abundant, and the soil was very thick. It nurtured a forest with a radius of about 200 kilometers. The grade of spirit wood in the forest wasn't low, and there were quite a few 4th-grade spirit woods. 4th-rank spirit wood could be used to build flying warships and puppets. Naturally, he would not let go of such a good place. There was also a mystic realm underground that could not be developed. The Wang family's spiritual wood hall had built a tree farm here to develop the forest. In the southern part of the forest, they cleared a piece of land and built a small city that was 1 square mile in size. This was also the residence of the clansmen who cut down the spiritual trees. There were 20 to 30 cultivator clansmen and more than 2,000 ordinary clansmen living inside. The person in charge here was an early-stage Zifu disciple, and the city even had a defensive formation of the 4th grade. In addition, this place was not far from South Serene Mountain. The gray rock usually patrolled nearby, so there was no problem in terms of safety. The flying boat landed in front of the city gate. Seeing Wang Daoyuan and the other 3, the gatekeepers immediately opened the city gate. A Zifu disciple walked out, bowing towards the group. Wang Shouja said, "Don't worry about us. Just do what you need to do." This Zifu disciple was on guard duty here. Naturally, he knew about the secret realm. He couldn't get involved in this matter, so he cupped his hands and excused himself. Wang Shouja brought the 3 of them to a small sealed stone house in the north of the city. The entrance to the secret territory is about 2,000 feet below here. You'll need to use the earth evasion technique to go down. As he spoke, he took out 3 low-grade 3rd-grade earth evasion talismans and gave them to Adept Thunderflame and Zhao Liang. Afterwards, the 4 of them began to fly down together. After flying for 2,000 feet, they arrived at an underground stone room that was about 10 square meters in size. On one wall of the stone room, there was a screen of light. The 4 of them entered the screen of light. This secret realm wasn't small, at least 400 kilometers in diameter. Unfortunately, the yin energy within the secret realm was too dense. Ordinary people and low-level clansmen were completely unable to adapt to this environment. Although the secret realm was relatively isolated from the outside world, it was still affected by the surrounding environment. Nearby, there was a north-south yin vein that created the Netherking River. This secret realm was affected as well. However, the spirit vein within the secret realm was quite large. A small mountain range that was less than 300 meters tall stretched out for more than 300 kilometers within the secret realm. Within the small mountain range, there was a low-grade 5th-grade non-elemental spirit vein, which was filled with spiritual energy. In addition, this secret realm was a natural secret realm and was extremely stable. Even undergoing the Yuanying heavenly tribulation here wouldn't be a problem. Unfortunately, because the yin energy here was too dense, ordinary vegetation was unable to grow. Thus, the secret realm only had bare mountains and rocks, which made it seem especially desolate. In the southeast corner of the secret realm, there was a low-grade 5th-grade spirit spring. The water volume wasn't large, and it only gathered into a small lake that was 100 meters in diameter. However, the yin energy in the spring water was too dense. The yin energy in the entire secret realm should have surged out from this spring water. Venerable Lei Yen used his divine sense to examine it. This is a pretty good secret realm. Unfortunately, it was destroyed by this spring water. However, this spring water is the core of the secret realm. The entire secret realm relies on this spring water to connect to the outside world. It receives energy from the outside world to maintain the secret realm. If the spring water is destroyed, this secret realm will be destroyed as well. No matter how big a secret realm was, it couldn't be compared to the outside world. Relying on the internal energy, it was impossible to maintain the entire secret realm. Thus, it had to be connected to the outside world, forming a cycle with the yin energy of the outside world. This thing that connected to the outside world was the core of the secret realm. Man-made secret realms couldn't directly connect to the outside world, so they weren't stable enough. Either it was like Blood Shadow's secret realm, which required a large amount of space stones to maintain. Or, like the Green Willow Mystic Realm and the Five Elements Mystic Realm, there was something else that replaced the core of the Mystic Realm. The Green Willow Secret Realm relied on the Big Willow Tree to connect to the outside world. The Five Elements Secret Realm relied on the Spirit Vein to connect to the outside world. The Five Elements Heaven Suppression Seal was used to suppress the Spirit Vein, preventing it from becoming unstable and cutting off the connection. And the core of this secret realm was this Spirit Spring. By connecting to the Yin Vein and Water Vein outside, it maintained the entire secret realm. This secret realm should have been found in the Valley of Beasts secret realm distribution map. There were no signs of large-scale development. Instead, there were a few stone altars used for tribulation transcendence. In the Valley of Beasts, it should have been used as a tribulation transcendence secret realm. Wang Shouxia and Zhao Liang walked to two stone altars that were more than 50 kilometers apart to avoid disturbing each other. Wang Daoyuan and Venerable Lei Yen didn't disturb them. Instead, they went to the spring water. A large amount of yin energy was mixed into the spring water. Everything was pure black. Wang Daoyuan used the heaven-peering secret technique and probed into the depths of the spring water. What a strong yin energy! My divine senses can only reach a depth of about 200 meters. Venerable Lei Yen smiled. This secret realm has been undisturbed for tens of thousands of years. There must be treasures in the depths of the spring water. You are a penta-spirit veins cultivator and have the Gui water death flame. This thing is very suitable for you. Why don't you go down and fish it up? Wang Daoyuan shook his head. The secret realm will only be more stable if treasures are nurtured in the spring water. At my level, I don't need a 5th-tier inferior-grade spirit item anymore. Let it stay here. Keep the goodies within the family. In the future, the ones who can get this good stuff will still be my Wang family. However, this spring water is good stuff. We can't waste it here. After he finished speaking, he took out some seeds of the 7-leaf ghost face flower and scattered them around the spring water. He originally wanted to transplant some yellow springs willows, but he didn't have any. Planting living branches would risk exposing the secret realm. It was better to forget about it. His clansmen already had other materials to refine puppets. He also had enough yellow springs willows in the spirit pearls space to refine high-level puppets. He didn't have to plant them here. Wang Daoyuan had the Gui water death flame in his body and could adapt to this yin energy. However, Venerable Lei Yen was a lightning attribute cultivator. Lightning was of the extreme yang attribute. If he kept staying here, he would feel very uncomfortable. Wang Daoyuan drew out a wisp of scarlet yang true fire. The surrounding yin energy was mostly dispersed. A large amount of purple energy appeared around the scarlet yang true fire. Venerable Lei Yen praised. Such pure yin energy. It can actually produce purple energy with the scarlet yang true fire. If you can place a pure yang pearl in this secret realm, it can produce a lot of purple energy. Why don't you try it here? You're tuning in to the Wang Lin's Journey YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.